San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got a lot to talk about today on the show. We're going to dive into a lot of different Padres topics throughout the show. We got roster spots. We got roster spots that are not only already open, but we have other roster spots that are starting to become available for guys competing for this team due to maybe some players starting the season on the injured list. That's a little bit of our reports that we're getting out of camp that we're going to talk about. In the 11 o'clock hour, Sam Levitt will join us live from Peoria to break down a lot of these different conversations. So he will join our show today. We will talk about what our roster looks like as of right now. I mean, on March 10th, 2026, this is how I see things are playing out for the Padres right now. That's that. We're going to get to that in the 11 o'clock hour as well. We're going to hear from Alex Verdugo. He met with the media yesterday and a lot of interesting things to say. And there was an article about him today or yesterday in the San Diego Union Tribune that we want to dive into about Alex Verdugo and what he could potentially bring to the Padres. And again, I have to preface this by saying that Alex Verdugo is on a minor league contract and is in minor league camp. So it's not like he's right now battling for that spot. Otherwise, he's got to get shipped off somewhere else. He is in the Padres organization to be a minor leaguer as of right now. That doesn't mean he can't get promoted to the major league club. That doesn't mean he can't get some at-bats right now in major league games in spring training. All it matters is at the end of, he doesn't have to make the team out of camp to be part of this organization. And that's something to look out for. That's something to watch as well during spring training. So a lot to get to in the Padres world throughout this hour and throughout the 11 o'clock hour. Padres will be back in action again today at 1 o'clock. We're going to get to our sports thread 11:45. We also, as we get closer to the start of the season, we're going to use we are today. We're using our noon hour today to kind of give you another preview of the Major League Baseball season as these teams have been ranked in tiers to start the year. Where do we think each team fits in the conversation? We'll go from the bottom to the top in terms of what the overall outcome is for the MLB season. We'll get to that in the noon hour. And then later up in the 1 o'clock hour, the 1 o'clock hour is usually our hour to talk about other sports. If you will, we'll keep you updated on what's going on in the Padre game at 1 o'clock in the 1 o'clock hour, but also we'll talk about San Diego FC. I mean, San Diego FC has just pitched, perfect games defensively. Shutout after shutout after shutout in the MLS. They had another big win over the weekend. We didn't have time to talk about that yesterday. We're going to dive into it today at 1 o'clock. USD makes a big hire. They have now officially hired J.R. Blunt to be the new head basketball coach. We'll talk about that at 1:15. And we got so much more to dive into. We'll recap a little bit about the WBC from yesterday. How about Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena, huh? These guys are teammates. These guys are going to show up to camp again. They're going to go back to Peoria for like a couple of days before the season starts. There's a little bit of fireworks right there. Come on, Cal. Got to dap up your boy, man. I don't get that in the WBC. I haven't understood it. Have you understood it, Frank? I don't get the whole like the batter comes up and like tries to basically be like, hey, what's up, man? Fist bump, Nux, something. And the catcher just stone cold, like it's like, oh, I'm locked in, man.
I don't get what the controversy is. Like it's a thing that happens, guys. Like not everyone
They're on the same team.
Not everyone's receptive to it.
They're on the same team.
They're not.
It doesn't make any sense.
They were not last night. That's all that matters.
They're about to play 162 games in the season. Cal, just give him a fist bump. Who cares?
Have you not watched Ted Lasso?
No, I don't watch television. There's nothing on television that's worth watching. I watch sports and I go do things. I don't watch television.
Danny Rojas and the goalkeeper, Van Dam, were playing in an international tournament together. For the 2 weeks prior to it, Danny Rojas did not associate with Van Dam at all. Mean mugged him in the friendly locker room.
Are talking
but then
about
after
a
that,
TV series. You're talking about a TV series.
But then after that, they were cool. Dude, they're not on the same. They're not on the same team right now. That's all that matters.
It doesn't matter. They're on the same team. They're on the Mariners together. He could literally just give him a fist bump. It's not that big of a deal.
Who cares? Either way, who cares? It's a story about nothing. We said the same thing about the Australian guy.
Now the Mariners have to go do damage control because Randy Arozarena told Cal to shove it in a place where, shove it where the sun don't shine.
No, the Mariners are doing.
They're going to have to do some serious damage control. The Mariners are
doing damage control because of fake public outrage. Stop. They're professional.
Did you not hear Randy Arozarena's post game? Did you not hear his post game?
No, I did not.
Oh, he crushed Cal. He basically said Cal can bleep off. Like he was pissed. He was pissed. It was like, and then he went on to say, he was like, I can't believe I hugged his parents before the game and he gave me this fake nice guy, how you doing, when we got to the box. He pissed off Randy Arozarena. Randy Arozarena in 4 different languages crushed Cal Raleigh in the post game yesterday and basically said, like, this guy sucks and they're going to be teammates. I'm telling you right now, if this happened with 2 Padres teammates, there'd be a problem.
Nate, it's not about being a contrarian. We said the same thing last week with the Australian catcher. People act differently when they get their game face on. It's not a big deal. It's not a story. And if Randy Arozarena wants to take it personally, then that's on him. I'm not trying to be a contrarian here. I don't care. It's a nothing.
You're telling me that 2 teammates on the team that actually matters. I'm going to be clear about this. Like, the WBC is fun, but what is more important, winning the WBC or winning the World Series?
If they're doing that on the team that actually matters, then yeah, I'd be concerned. They were playing against each other last night.
It's for fun. This is all for fun. It's not serious. Yeah, I know they want to win, but like
that way.
You could literally just it's a game. That's where it doesn't make any sense to me. Look, the Australian guy that was a catcher with somebody he has no idea who it is. Yeah, okay, whatever. Like, he doesn't know. Will Smith didn't do it one time. Nobody likes Will Smith. Okay, so like, it's understandable. But when you have 2 guys that are on the exact same team, they're on the Mariners together, and that happens, what are we doing? Could you imagine that in an all-star game? I mean, people will be like, what is this guy? What's this guy's problem?
An all-star game really doesn't matter. An all-star game is genuinely meaningless. This is not meaningless.
It's kind of meaningless. It's not. What's the incentive to win aside from pride? It's not like, what's more important, winning a World Series and making sure your team for the World Series is intact, or winning the WBC? If the WBC was more important, Frank, Tarek Skubal would still be pitching. Jackson Merrill wouldn't have turned down an opportunity to play for Team USA. It's cool. It's a fun event. I love it. I love the WBC. I think it's great. But to sit here and say, like, this is like, oh my God, we got to be so locked in to playing a pool play game.
Some guys,
and they're on the same team.
I'm saying that some guys are like that. It doesn't matter. Once they get in between the lines, it doesn't matter if it's a for fun game or not. They get locked in.
Cal is totally in the wrong with this. And let me ask you this. I'd like to know this season, if guys try to dap up Cal before the game starts in real baseball games and he does it, you have a problem.
Then yes, I would agree. Yes, you have a.
You'd have to go look it up. You'd have to
Yes.
go look it up because I don't know. I don't watch the Mariners, but I see this all the time. I've seen this all the time with guys every single game in Major League Baseball. Fernando comes up there, taps the cat. Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, acknowledgement, all that stuff. No problem. But I'm telling you right now, Cal Raleigh does not look good after that last night. He doesn't. What's the problem in just giving a knucks real quick? Is that going to show you you're an inferior player? Is that what that's going to show you? Is that going to show you you're not locked in? Is that going to show you that you're not really there to win? Come on. Give me a break. Game face? Are you kidding me? You're going to have my game face on? I'm playing Team Mexico with a bunch of all-stars. I just really? Come on. They're on the same team. It's just so unnecessary. Cal literally could have just gave him knucks and just been like, it would have been a problem. Like, oh, look, cool. It's Randy Arozarena. It's terrible. It was just so ridiculous. I know the players want to win this, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not as serious as Cal Raleigh is making it to be. It's really not. And now he's pissed off his teammate. So I can't wait to see what that conversation is like. I can't wait. Get to Peoria. Give me a camera in front of Randy Arozarena's face. Give me the Cal Raleigh deal. It's lame from Cal, and the excuse of just being like game ready, it doesn't fly with me. There's some things that are bigger than sports.
Well,
just be cool. It's not hard to be cool.
I guess you could say karma got him back because he went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. So there you go. Still doesn't have a hit in the WBC.
And I gotta say,
so there you go.
If
Randy got him back,
the fact that Randy was so upset in the way that he said it in the post game after the fact is like a major red flag. It's like major red flag. Unbelievable. Out on the Cal Raleigh deal for that. Kobe Bryant in the Olympics. I feel like the Olympics have a little bit more clout than the WBC, playing for a gold medal. But it's cordial at the beginning. It's baseball. It is totally lame. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Kalivic, welcome home, Randy. 619. Hey, you know what? Maybe this leads to a trade. They got to trade him out of there. When we come back, there's a player that I want to talk about with the San Diego Padres that I think is very important. And there was a good article about him in the San Diego Union Tribune. It's not Manny. It's not Fernando. It's not Xander. We'll tell you about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan.
I'm Pat Boyle here to help you beat the book. One sport. Celtics square off with the Spurs tonight, San Antonio.
The NFL offseason just started, and teams are already going all in. The biggest move, Ravens trading 2 first-round picks for pass rusher Max Crosby. Now, don't get me wrong. Crosby is a monster. He's one of the most disruptive defenders in football, but giving up 2 first-rounders for a 29-year-old non-quarterback is a massive gamble for the Baltimore Ravens. And they clearly believe this is their Super Bowl window with Lamar Jackson. But history says these trades rarely work. They rarely work out long-term. Meanwhile, the Raiders just jump-started the rebuild with 2 premium picks. We're also seeing aggressive moves from teams like the Rams stacking up on cornerbacks, the Chiefs signing running back Kenneth Walker III, trying to jumpstart their offense. But the big theme of the offseason, teams are either pushing all their chips in or stacking draft picks for the future. And the teams that usually win in the NFL, they're the ones that keep those picks. Free agency already in chaos, Frank. As we start the NFL offseason, it's barely underway, and teams are already reshaping the rosters in a big way.
Yep. With the legal negotiating window open, front offices are moving fast, making trades, handing out contracts, and pushing chips towards the middle of the table. And the theme so far, aggression, aggression, aggression. Several contenders going all in to maximize their championship windows, while rebuilding teams are stockpiling picks and cap space for the future. So far, the headliner of these moves, as you had mentioned before, the Ravens swinging big as they made the biggest move early in this window with the blockbuster trade, sending Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round picks. Crosby is one of the most durable and disruptive defensive players in the league, and Baltimore clearly believes that adding him could push them over the top with Lamar Jackson still in his prime.
But the debate, again, is 2 first-round picks is a massive price, especially for a player turning 29. Yes, the Ravens are better today than they were before they made this move, but they're also sacrificing long-term roster flexibility. Meanwhile, Raiders absolutely crushed this trade. If you're rebuilding 2 first-rounders for a non-quarterback, is about the best return you can hope for. But here's where it plays out even further. It's not getting the picks. It's what you do with the picks. So the Raiders still have to make good on these 2 first-round picks as they got for Max Crosby. But if they're unable to do that, it doesn't matter that you got 2 first-round picks. So that's where the Raiders really have to make this an A-plus move for them in trading away Max Crosby. Now, for the Ravens, this is an all-in approach. And it's not impossible to win like this. I mean, the Rams did. The Rams really set the precedent for we're going to trade away our entire future of draft picks to win a Super Bowl. And everybody thought, myself included, oh, they're going to be bad after that because they're not going to be able to replenish all of the players that are veterans now aging off their roster that they traded all these draft picks for. But then, sure enough, they've been competitive since then. They've went to another Super Bowl after that. So for the Los Angeles Rams, they really set the precedent that you can be a Super Bowl contender even without the draft picks, but you got to hit on all of these moves, and it's a big risk for the Baltimore Ravens. But speaking about the Rams and speaking about going all in, they went all in on defense.
Yeah, they're clearly pushing their window with Matthew Stafford. They traded star corner Trent McDuffie and signed corner Jalen Watson, reuniting the 2 former Kansas City Chiefs defensive backs. Last year, the Rams' weakness was their secondary, and now on paper, they've at least fixed that problem. But again, the theme of this offseason, win now, worry about later.
Yeah, I mean, history says probably a lot with some of these moves that the Rams have made. But if they signed McDuffie to an extension, that's a big piece of this trade because trading for a 25-year-old's great, but it's not great if you can't keep him.
Mm-hmm.
They locked him up for his prime years, which is great to see for Los Angeles. Now, Chiefs are trying to fix their offense. Speaking of Kansas City, as we talk about the cornerbacks, they made a splash signing explosive running back Kenneth Walker III, who was the Super Bowl MVP, and the goal, take pressure off Patrick Mahomes, reignite the offense, and strangely, the reunited offense that strangely looked stagnant last season.
Yeah, absolutely. They signed Kenneth Walker, adding big playability, but the debate is obvious. Is spending big money on a running back ever really worth it in this day and age in the National Football League? History says probably not. And also, while we were in the process of recording these, they signed a 1-year, $12 million contract with Travis Kelce to bring him back for another year, with the potential of that going up to as high as $15 million this year. So they're starting to spend that money that they've been saving up.
And that was the kind of the news that we got this morning when the announcement was Travis Kelce was going to return to the Chiefs and not retire. So might be 1 year left for Travis Kelce in Kansas City, but it's a lot of money for a guy and a lot of Randy in 4 different languages. Just like absolutely obliterated Cal Raleigh in this deal. He did talk about his parents, though. This is the exact quote. This is in The Athletic about the awkward encounter that he had with Cal Raleigh after the game. He was asked about it. Mexico lost 5-3. It's unclear whether the frustration directed at Raleigh was legitimate or meant as playful banter, although his tone wasn't very good. This is what Randy Arozarena said. He said it in multiple languages, but quote, the only thing he should be thankful for is having such great parents. He's very well educated, thank God. I was lucky enough to see them a few days ago at the hotel. They came over to greet me, gave me a big hug, and were genuinely proud to see me again. Then he launched into a profanity-laced criticism suggesting Raleigh should bleep off and go to hell. That good to see you that he said to me, he can shove it up his you-know-what. I'm out. I threw that in there. I'm telling you, it's very possible Rosarena was angry or not angry, but definitely causes a stir yesterday. I'm just saying, like, you could have said, like, could have just gave him knucks and moved on. But tough. I'm sure, yes, exactly. I'm sure everyone's favorite reporter will mention this tonight on the World Baseball Classic coverage of tonight's games. Let's get to a portion of the show, though, and start the show off with a question today. And it's not about Manny Machado, and it's not about Fernando Tatis Jr., and it's not about Xander Bogaerts. And here's the question. And in fact, it was actually asked to Jake Cronenworth over the winter, as mentioned by Kevin Acee in an article in the Union Tribune. What kind of ball player is Jake Cronenworth? Because if you're a Padres fan, you probably have an answer, and chances are it's something like this. Good player, but maybe overpaid. Good player, but not a star. Good player, but replaceable. Good player, but maybe someone they should have traded. I think that conversation about Jake Cronenworth has kind of missed the point, though, because if the Padres are going to be the team they believe they can be in 2026, Jake Cronenworth isn't just a piece on the roster. He's one of the keys to hold this entire thing. And let's go back for a second. When the Padres signed Jake Cronenworth to that 7-year, $80 million extension in 2024, the reaction around the fan base was mixed. Some people loved it. Some people thought it was a mistake. And a lot of fans immediately started looking at the contract like a burden. Now he's 32. And every time he goes 0 for 4, there's someone saying like, hey, look at the contract. But here's the reality. If you actually look at the numbers and the type of player he is and the way he impacts games, Jake Cronenworth is performing at or above the contract. And I'd even go further. He's becoming one of the most important players, I think, on this roster. Because everybody talks about the stars, and rightfully so. Manny Machado is a franchise cornerstone. Fernando Tatis Jr. is a superstar. Xander Bogaerts is a veteran presence in the middle of the lineup. Those are headliners. Those are the jerseys. Those are the guys people build billboards around. But championship teams are built around something else. Ball players. And that's the word that keeps coming up with Jake Cronenworth. Not necessarily a slugger, not necessarily a superstar, but a ball player. He's been an all-star twice. He started games at 3 different positions. He's hit in all 9 spots in the lineup. Since making his debut in 2020, he has one of the top WAR totals among players from that class, but for some reason, he's still viewed as just okay. And I think that's because Cronenworth doesn't fit into that modern highlight culture of baseball. It's not like he's hitting 40 homers a year. It's not like he's really flipping bats into the dugout. It's not like he's really chasing that launch angle. Instead, he does something baseball teams quietly love, and he wins baseball games in the little ways. Grinds out at bats. He sees pitches. Nearly 4 pitches per plate appearance for Jake Cronenworth, which is among the best in the league. He gets on base. He runs the bases hard. He plays multiple positions at an above-average level, and he shows up every single day. That's the part that matters the most. Because since 2020, Cronenworth has started more games than almost everyone in Major League Baseball. I'm going to read that again. The stat that was in the article by Kevin Acee. Since 2020, Cronenworth has started more games than almost everyone in Major League Baseball. That availability matters. That reliability matters. That's why they have the saying, your ability is your availability, especially on a team with stars, because stars can't just carry teams alone, although that seems to be what we want here in San Diego a lot. Spend a lot of money on the stars. They do have to, in fact, play better. But in order for the stars to help carry the team, they need stabilizers. And that's what Jake Cronenworth has become for this roster. Now, here's the part that should excite Padres fans heading into the season. He might actually be getting better. This spring, you're seeing something interesting. Cronenworth has been working on a more direct swing path to the ball. It's shorter, it's cleaner, it's more efficient, and the results are showing up already. He's driving balls the other way. He just hit which I thought this was crazy when Frank mentioned it. He just hit his first opposite field homer as a major leaguer this spring. He's hitting over 360 in Cactus League play, but more importantly, his mindset has changed. Last year, he stopped obsessing over mechanics. He stopped trying to create power. Instead, he focused on competing. His mindset became simple. If he went 0 for 4 but made big defensive plays and helped the team win, that was still a good night for a guy like Jake. That's a ball player mentality. And guess what? It worked. Last year, he posted a 367 on-base percentage, which was top 10 in the National League. His on-base percentage never dipped below 340 all season. He even improved against left-handed pitching, which has been a major weakness for Jake Cronenworth. It's not declining. It's adjustment. It's evolution. And now at 32 years old, he's training differently too. He's worked on more speed work. He's worked on more running. He's trying to stay athletic. He's trying to keep up with the game that keeps getting faster and harder. And that matters because the Padres don't just need stars. They need connective tissue. They need a player who can hit second one night, seventh the next. They need a guy who could play first base, second base, or shortstop if something goes wrong. And they need a hitter who will foul off 6 pitches and force a pitcher into a mistake. They need a player who can stabilize the lineup when big names go cold. That's Jake Cronenworth. And let's be honest about something. For years, Padres fans have floated his name in trade rumors. Maybe they move Cronenworth. Maybe they deal the contract. Maybe they find someone younger. But when you actually watch this team play, when you look at the roster construction, you realize something. Moving Jake Cronenworth would create more problems than it solves. Because players like him don't grow on trees. He's reliable. He's versatile. He's consistent. He's professional. And every winning team has them. They're the guys who might not get the headlines, but they're in the middle of every win. And that's why this season is important for him. Because if this season's swing change sticks, if the on-base numbers say where they were last year, if the defense continues to bounce around the infield, Jake Cronenworth stops being the contract question, and he becomes what the Padres actually need him to be, a foundational piece. Not the flashiest player, not the loudest player, but one of the most important players on the roster. Because while everybody likes to say, like, Machado's got to carry the team, Tatis's got to carry the team, and Bogart's got to carry the team, they need guys like Jake Cronenworth to help stabilize this roster. Because everyone who talks about those things forgets about the individual players that also have to help in the little things of the game. If the Padres are playing meaningful baseball late in 2026, there's a very good chance Jake Cronenworth is right in the middle of it. Grinding out at bats, making defensive plays, getting on base, doing all the little things that help you win. That's what ball players do. And Jake Cronenworth might be one of the best examples of that on this team. I thought it was a very interesting article in the Union Tribune today about Jake Cronenworth and about the type of player that his friends asked him who he thought he was. And I think Jake Cronenworth's a big concept and big factor to this team this year. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What happened in yesterday's game? What are our takeaways? We will discuss that when we come back. There are some position battles that are starting to grow here for the Padres. Opening opportunities for a couple of players. Talk about that next on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Number Sports Station, 97 through the Fan.
Yes.
San Diego FC might actually be better than the team that shocked the MLS last year. They're now 3-0 to start the 2026 season after a 1-0 road win over Sporting Kansas City. And once again, it was Anders Dreyer delivering the moment. Dreyer scored the only goal of the match in the 39th minute, finishing a beautiful setup from Oni Valakari. But the real surprise right now might be the goalkeeper. 19-year-old San Diego native Duran Ferri has now started 3 games, and he still hasn't allowed a goal. He made 2 huge saves late in the match to preserve the shutout and keep San Diego perfect on the season. Think about this. 3 wins, 0 goals conceded. And they've done it playing 3 different styles. Explosive offense, structured defense, and now a gritty road win. The real test is coming, though. San Diego FC now faces Toluca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup and begins a stretch of 5 matches in 16 days. So here's the question. Is San Diego FC just hot to start the season, or are we watching a legitimate MLS Cup contender? Frank, let's talk about last week. San Diego FC just keeps winning.
Yeah, 1-0 road victory against Sporting Kansas City this weekend means that San Diego FC now starts the season at 3-0-0. They're doing it in a way that looks even more complete and more composed than the expansion team that shocked the league a year ago. 3 wins, 0 goals conceded, and the star of the show once again, Anders Dreyer, just once again driving home the fact that he should have been the MLS MVP last year.
Yeah, he delivered the only goal of the match in the 39th minute. He finished a clever setup from Valakari and burying it in the top corner. It's exactly what he did all last year. Create chances, control tempo, deliver in big moments, and now he's doing it again to start 2026. This is why the club gave him that long-term contract extension. Dreyer isn't just being productive. He is the engine of this offense for San Diego FC.
Yeah, he has been absolutely incredible. And now you've put Marcus Ingvarts in there with him. Amal Pellegrino can also pick up that slack on the other side of the wing. That is a very dangerous offensive front for San Diego FC, led by one of the most dangerous players in the league.
The real story, though, might be the defense in terms of the goalkeeping, because this is a huge story happening in goal. Duran Ferri is 19. He is a 19-year-old from Del Norte High School. He just graduated high school.
What were you doing at 19, bud?
I was not playing MLS soccer, I can tell you that. He is, and not only that, I mean, it'd be one thing if he was playing and they're winning games like 6-4, or it's a high-scoring affair. But no, he's made 3 straight starts and still hasn't allowed a goal. He came up with 2 massive saves late in the match to preserve the win, including a diving stop in the 88th minute and another lunging save in stoppage time. And remember, he's 3rd on the depth chart. He's not even the backup. CJ Dos Santos is still recovering from surgery. Pablo Cisniega, who, by the way, signed a contract extension, it was suspended earlier. And now Faria is forcing the coaching staff into a real decision, and that's a great problem to have in soccer.
And like I said last week, when you go down, you lose your starting goalkeeper, you're giving something up with your backup. But it has been just stellar what San Diego has been able to do between the pipes. It has been unreal that this kid is 3 clean sheets, 3 games into his MLS career. It is unreal what Duran Ferri has been able to do in stepping up. Again, not just for Pablo Cisniega, but also for CJ Dos Santos.
This team seems more complete than it was last year. They're really building off of what was a great year last year, and that's the scary part for the rest of the MLS. San Diego might actually be better this season than they were last year, which finished 1st in the Western Conference and was a game away from going to the MLS championship. So far this year, 3-0, no goals conceded in MLS play, league leading possession numbers, balanced scoring across the roster. But I do have to say, the 3 teams that they have played in the MLS so far are near the bottom of the standings, and we're near the bottom of the standings last year.
Yeah, but also you have to think, we talk about this so often with the other professional sports teams in town, also the colleges. You have to take care of business against teams you should be taking care of business against. And that is exactly what San Diego FC has done. And they've done it very convincingly. So this is a good team taking care of business against teams that they should be taking care of business against. It shouldn't be applauded because, yeah, you haven't beat LAFC yet this year. You haven't beat Vancouver yet this year. But it also can't be ignored that they're doing the job that they are supposed to be doing.
Yeah, last week they beat St. Louis City SC with structure and discipline. Before that, they crushed CF Montreal with explosive offense, and now they win a tight road game in Kansas City. 3 very different styles of victory, and that's the sign of a very mature team.
Yep, absolutely. And now comes the challenge, because now they're hitting a crucial stretch. They're hitting Toluca in the Champions Cup, a road
What happened in yesterday's game? It's a lot to break down. There's a lot of takeaways. We're going to get some notes here in a second, as well as spring training continues in Peoria, Arizona. We're going to get a full recap on what's going on and a full report from Sam Levitt out there live in Peoria in just a little bit. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. I want to mention that all of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. SDCCU, it's not big bank banking. It's better. A lot of notes out of yesterday's game, which is not too crazy because the Padres end up losing the game 4-1. But a lot of notes in terms of the bench battle. And here's the thing. As we talk about some of the latest news from Padres camp, there's something that is leading more to a bench battle. Because there's kind of an open spot now, and we're going to talk about the roster in the 11 o'clock hour of where it might stand right now, or I think it stands right now, what I would do for a 26-man roster if we had to start opening day this week. But Sungmoon, I want to preface this bench battle with the Sungmoon Song injury that complicates the opening day roster. So Sungmoon Song is running and fielding again, as reported by Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune. He's still unable to swing the bat comfortably, and his oblique injury that first occurred, this oblique injury first occurred in January, and he re-aggravated it after returning, after he hit a 430-foot bomb off Luis Castillo in spring training. Now, I don't know how much of that was wind-aided because the wind was nasty, but it is possible that Sungmoon Song now starts the season on the injured list, which means that opens up another spot for the bench. Now, we have debated the bench a lot so far this spring. And at this point in time, I think Nick Castellanos is on the team. We know Gavin Sheets is going to be on the team. I think Miguel Andujar, if there was any type of question of whether or not he was going to make the team, I think that has been put to rest with his ability to hit against left-handers so far in spring training. I think he's on the team. And the big debate was like, what do you do with the Sungmoon Song, Bryce Johnson, Ty France conversation? Well, with Sungmoon Song potentially starting the season on the injured list, now all of a sudden you don't have to make the decision between Bryce Johnson and Ty France. But you do have to make a decision about Bryce Johnson, Ty France, and then a third in Jose Miranda if you want Jose Miranda on the team. I think with this injury, it really opens up the door for Jose Miranda. Now let's talk about this bench battle. Ty France, 1 for 3 with a double on Monday. He's hitting .370. He's 10 for 27 on the season. Tied for team lead in hits. Who is he tied with? Jose Miranda. Also tied for the team lead in hits this spring. And they're competing for the same type of role. Now, I don't find an instance now in this particular case where Ty France and Jose Miranda are both on the team because they're kind of the same player for the Padres. Like what they would do would be relatively the same. I think they're competing against each other for a final spot on this roster. Jose Miranda is 27 years old. He's a little bit younger than Ty France. The upside, the downside, I mean, these guys are very similar players. And the edge for Ty France, obviously, is the fact that, well, he could be a Gold Glove first baseman. He's already accomplished that. He's 31 years old. Jose Miranda is 27, as mentioned. Jose Miranda can also play first base. He also plays third base. They are the same type of player, and they are putting together the same type of stats right now in spring training. Take, again, all of that for what it's worth. But they're only going to have one bench spot for these corner infielders. I think the injury of Sungmoon Song really solidifies Bryce Johnson being on the team, and then Ty France competing now with Jose Miranda for that final spot. And it's an interesting bench battle, Frank, to look at Ty France versus Jose Miranda. Jose Miranda was the guy that the Padres signed way early in the offseason, or at least compared, but he was one of the first guys that they signed. And people forgot about Jose Miranda. And then especially after the fact that they signed Ty France, I think you forgot about Jose Miranda. But Jose Miranda was a sneaky name to potentially make this team when he first signed to be a bench piece. And it's going to be an interesting battle between Ty France and Jose Miranda.
Yeah, he came out of the gates really, really hot as well, did Miranda. And Ty France has sort of picked it up more lately. I still think that France would have a little bit of an edge coming off a Gold Glove and being a first base first kind of player, somebody that you don't really have. I think Miranda might just miss out if it were between him and Ty France.
I think Miranda misses out too. I think the fact that I don't think the Padres make moves based on like where guys are from, but I think the fact that he was part of this organization before, I think the fact that he played at San Diego State, he's a Tony Gwynn guy. I think maybe that's the soft spot that we have as fans for a guy like Ty France, who we saw really cut his teeth with the Padres in that 2020 season before getting shipped off. And it's cool to have him back. I think a lot of fans at certain times wish they had Ty France back, and maybe that's the soft spot us fans see with Ty France compared to Jose Miranda. But honestly, at this point, I don't really think you could go wrong with either of them. I think they both have the same type of pros and the same type of cons. It's going to be some type of numbers game, I think, to get one of these guys on the team. And I don't think there's a way to pass either of them through waivers at this point. I think they both have done such a great job. It's going to be hard for them to both be a part of this organization unless you cut somebody else loose.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's going to come down to the very nitpicky metrics like barrel percentage or average exit velo, something like that. That's going to give them a sign of, okay, this guy is maybe a little bit better off and is maybe a little bit more ready for the major leagues to start this season as compared to the other guy.
There's got to be something that they're specifically looking for that lacks in the other portions of the game aside from hitting, I think. Like Ty France being a Gold Glover, is that a bigger advantage for Ty because of the fact that Nick Castellanos, Miguel Andujar, and Gavin Sheets aren't necessarily high-level defensive players?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something I think plays a factor to try to fill in the rest of the roster. But, to me, with Sungmoon Song going on the injured list, I really think you can make, Frank, a very balanced roster with Bryce Johnson, Ty France on the bench, mixed with your backup catcher, and then whoever's not playing first base /DH in the Gavin Sheets, Nick Castellanos, and Miguel Andujar platoon. But it sounds like it's going to be a Miguel Andujar, Gavin Sheets platoon, if anything else. I would imagine if Castellanos isn't playing in the field, he's probably DHing more times than not. But you're going to have Luis Camposano, Sheets / Andujar on the bench, Ty France / Jose Miranda, and Bryce Johnson. That's a pretty overall balanced bench that the Padres have. They got the platoon at first base. They got a backup infielder that can play corner infield spots, and they got an outfielder that can also run. To me, that's a very, very balanced roster. And then you let Sungmoon Song get up to full strength, as quick to full strength as possible. Let him get a nice rehab assignment down in AAA. And then if another injury happens, which is going to happen, then all of a sudden Sungmoon Song is back. And I think you start playing the roster game at that point.
And we've talked so much about, giving an extra spring training or an extra battle time for the starting pitchers as to why you would have a 6-man starting rotation. But you can also do that with Sungmoon Song. And if you think that you can get Bryce Johnson maybe to pass through waivers, you can maybe do the same thing with Ty France and Jose Miranda as well. And then when Sungmoon Song is ready to come back, then you cut one. Or if you see Bryce Johnson, you don't think he's going to cut through waivers, you take who you think would be the better option of the two. But yeah, that is something that the Padres have not had over these last couple of years, which is a solid bench up and down the bench. And they've built quite a quality reserve so far from what we're seeing this spring.
You could also do what Go Aztecs is talking about too with this roster when it comes to Sungmoon Song. You can let him rehab.
Mm-hmm.
You can let him do his rehab assignment in AAA, and then you can see what's going on with Ty France / Jose Miranda, Bryce Johnson. And if one of them is struggling mightily, you bring up Sungmoon Song. But if they're not, they're doing really well, you can then start the season with Sungmoon Song in AAA.
Yeah.
And I think, and you know what? For development purposes, for a guy that's transitioning from the KBO over to big league ball, I think that's a good move for the Padres. I think this is a blessing in disguise for the Padres in terms of how they could build this roster out for opening day. And I think this the big problem, right, was, do you keep Ty France and you go with the bat, or do you keep Bryce Johnson, who, by the way, doesn't have a bad bat? He had over 300 last year, but he's your pinch runner and fourth outfielder and all those other things that you can bring to the table. And it's an interesting conversation, but now you almost don't have to worry about it. And what did we say at the beginning of spring training? These things kind of have a way of working themselves out.
Yeah, exactly. And you're starting to see some of that starting to work itself out with some of these guys getting hurt, unfortunately. And that's something that we had braced for and said more or less to expect as the spring went on, is that some guys are going to get injured, and it's going to solve some of these roster questions here for you. And that's starting to look like it's becoming the case with Sungmoon Song. And just to re-aggravate that injury off a home run in a 12-run inning, I'm sure was very, very frustrating for him. But I think it's going to put the Padres in a position where I think he can benefit the most out of it, instead of sitting on the bench, getting at-bats every now and again against these high-velocity pitchers. He'll get a chance to play every day. He'll get a chance to see many of them down in AAA as well, and get a chance to really get into a Major League Baseball rhythm.
We're going to talk more about that in just a little bit as we talk about our rosters at this point in time in camp. But other thing, we just talked about Jake Cronenworth in the last segment. I thought Kevin Acey did a great article on Jake and the player he wants to become, but he looks locked in right now. And Tony Gwynn Jr. said it over the weekend. If I'm Jake Cronenworth, I want the season to start tomorrow. Another day, 1-for-1 walk, stolen base Monday, 375 spring average. That slow start that he had to camp at 1 for 8 seems completely behind him. He actually looks like that player that they described in the article of just adding another element to his game.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about. With, you don't look at the results, you look at the process of which they're going for, and whatever process that Jake was looking at and working on at the beginning of spring training is clearly paying off dividends now. He's had a very, very solid last week and is looking very, very impressive. And I think it's suiting him very, very nicely right now.
I think so too. And I think that's a big reason why I think he's going to be a major impact on this team in 2026. And that it's funny, we've had that conversation so many times about is Jake Cronenworth, does he live up to the contract that he was signed? And when they signed that contract originally, I'm like, all right, well, Jake Cronenworth's part of the team, but he was going to be part of the team for a long time. They bought him out of all these years of arbitration, giving him $12 million. It seems very steep, but right now the going rate for players, a guy like Jake Cronenworth is probably getting a lot more than $12 million. Like, he's probably, I would say, and I don't really want to use this as a comparison, but if he were to enter free agency at the same time Jurickson Profar did 2 years ago, does he get a bigger contract than Jurickson Profar? I bet you he does. 3 years, $21 million? Or 3 years, 42? Sorry, 3 years, $42 million?
I don't know, and I think part of that is coming off of the year that Profar had to get that contract. I think that's, and I believe actually he would, this would actually have been this offseason would have been his first, he would have been out of arbitration this offseason.
All right, so this offseason.
He would have been a free agent this year.
So if that's the case, I would imagine Jake Cronenworth's probably signing for $15 to $18 million a year.
Yeah, so you got him on a $3 to $5 million discount.
You got him on a discount. Now that's going to eventually, who knows what it's going to look like after the CBA. but that's going to eventually, when he starts, he's getting up there in age.
32 this year.
But what he does for the team and and being a super utility, I mean, he's kind of like I don't want to compare him to Ben Zobrist, but he's like that Ben Zobrist type player where he could play anywhere in the infield. He's that super utility guy for the Padres. Those are the type of guys that you want part of this team. And I love the fact that he's really building off of that on-base percentage he had last year.
I think Ben Zobrist actually is kind of a pretty apt comparison because, I mean, you could say like a Jose Iglesias from last year where he could play everywhere. But Iglesias at this point in his career is not a starter. Ben Zobrist was a starter, and he was a very highly sought-after guy in his role too. So I think Ben Zobrist actually is a very, very good comparison for what Cronenworth is right now.
Yeah, both came from the Tampa Bay organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ben Zobrist at age 32, which is Jake's age, he had a 5.2 WAR that season. He hit 275 with a 354 on base, a 756 OPS. He had a 112 OPS plus. Pretty good numbers for Ben Zobrist. It'd be nice to have Jake Cronenworth kind of close to that. But he's kind of like that. He's kind of like the Ben Zobrist of this current San Diego Padres team. Gavin Sheets, have you noticed his new approach at the plate when you've been able to watch some of these at-bats? I mean, he's been a very patient hitter up there for the Padres, and the Padres in general have had a lot of patient hitters in spring under this new modern look regime of the Padres offense with Steven Souza Jr. at the helm. But even though Gavin's only 4 for 20 on the spring, he's got 8 walks and he's got a 429 on base percentage.
Yeah, he's looked very, very good, and he's trying to build off of what was a breakout year for him last year, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. Again, the 4 for 20 doesn't look great, but he's clearly working on something new, and being able to draw out 8 walks, something that he wasn't all that great at doing last year, really raising that on base percentage. That's a whatever process he's working on, let him keep working on it for right now because it's working.
Randy Vasquez, last part of yesterday, allowed first runs of the spring, 2 runs in 4 innings through 63 pitches.
Out of the rotation, sorry.
Yeah, he's probably already locked into the rotation at this particular time. He's probably just building towards the season. I'm excited to watch him pitch in the regular season.
Yeah.
With the high velo he's got now and what he built off of last year. I mean, last year he was kind of just controlled chaos. This year he might be able to get after some people and get after some hitters and really attack the zone a little bit more in his now 3rd season as a starting pitcher in this rotation. And this is going to be like one of the, really a year where he's not necessarily worried about getting sent down or worried about, falling out of the rotation. He's earned his spot. Obviously, he doesn't have any options left, but this is a guy that I think might be a secret weapon to the Padres. And I wouldn't be surprised, Frank, if he's not at the end of the year, because the rotation always jumbles around of who's good and who's not. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the year if he's not in the top 3 spots of this rotation.
And he's also one of those guys that has not gotten hurt. He has not gotten hit with the injury bug over the last couple of years, which you can't say about a lot of these guys in the starting rotation. So he has posted. He has been there every single time he's asked for, and he's already starting to get ramped up into season form. 63 pitches yesterday through those 4 innings. He is looking like the pitcher that you hoped you would have gotten out of that Juan Soto trade.
A lot to break down in the games out here in spring training. Still a lot to really discuss. And today, it's Walker Buehler again. Walker Buehler versus the Angels. He allowed 2 runs in 3 innings in his first outing. He's competing with multiple pitchers for likely 1 remaining spot. We're going to talk about our rosters in the 11 o'clock hour after we talk to Sam. But Frank, as of right now, I don't have Walker Buehler as the 5th starter. I still have Germán Marquez because Germán Marquez signed a major league deal with the team. He's getting $7 million, whatever it may be. I thought Germán Marquez pitched well enough on Friday to keep that spot. I haven't seen Walker Buehler's got to pitch better than that to be that number 5 starter. And I'm curious to see how he does in his 2nd outing in spring. Because right now, a lot of the guys that have, and I wouldn't say he struggled in the first outing. I thought he pitched pretty well. The 2nd start has been pretty good for a lot of these guys competing for spots. I'm excited to see him pitch today for the San Diego Padres.
100%.
When we come back, Sam Levitt's going to give us updates on everything going on in Peoria. Sounds like we got some updates on Joe Musgrove from Craig Stammen. Talk to Sam about it when we come back. 11 o'clock. Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. We are now joined by Sam Levitt, live in Peoria, Arizona. His coverage of Padres baseball out there in spring training. Spring training coverage is brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys. David P. Shapiro Law, helping good people control their future, or helping good people protect their future since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. And I tell you what, I mean, talking about David P. Shapiro, the criminal defense attorneys that could probably be helping a lot of the people that stayed at Frank's Hotel this weekend in Arizona. Sam, did you hear about, by the way, foul on Frank for not saying hi to you while he was in Phoenix for
Excuse
2
me
days.
for having no time to do anything. I was at a racetrack for what, 40? If I was there for 48 hours,
That
I
was
was at
your
the
choice.
racetrack for 35 of them.
Can you believe this guy and the excuse making he's making, Sam?
Not even a text.
Not
Not even
even
a
a text?
text. Hey, you want to get dinner? Hey, you want to grab a cup of coffee?
You
hey,
wanna
you
get
want to meet up?
dinner?
Not a text.
Not
Not
one.
a text.
Not even like acknowledgement.
How about
he
a
was
visit
there.
to the complex? We can get him
How
Yeah.
about
a credential.
visit to the complex? Brother, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, got to the racetrack at 9, left there at 10:30, was in bed by 11, and then woke up at 8, was at the track by 9, and then went home.
Sam, do you hear that in the background?
Tell me where I had time to go and grab dinner with a pal.
I don't know. Skip some of the racing.
No,
Leave
that's
early.
the whole
I don't
reason
know.
I'm there.
Skip.
Hold
How
on,
many
hold on.
times?
Hold
How
on
many
a
times
second.
do you need to see a car go around in a circle?
As
before you've had
many
enough?
times as I can.
Okay.
Hang on a second, Sam. If Frank would have, this is a hypothetical. If Frank would have texted you that he was going out to Phoenix, could he have crashed on the couch or anywhere in your place?
Sure. I mean, had
Way
he
to
asked,
put him,
maybe.
way to put him on blast. Way to put him on the spot.
Hey, that's interesting because do you know where Frank stayed this weekend?
Where?
He stayed at a 3-star hotel that cost him, he cost him $90. You got to listen to the first part of this review that was left about the
Okay.
hotel that he stayed at. This is the first one that you see. It pops up. This place is scary and unsafe. The woman who was at the desk was very kind, but other than that, our experience was horrifying. We spoke to the receptionist through a bulletproof glass window. It goes on and on. There's people living outside, the chain link fence outside the hotel, a lot of illegal activity going on.
Well, I
Stained
hate to
sheets,
say it.
blood on the floor.
This is not that dissimilar from the first place that I stayed my first spring training here.
I tell you what, though, Sam, I bet you would have you know what? He could have stayed with you. It would have been not $90, and he probably would have felt a lot safer staying with
I mean,
a
if
Mets
I'm
fan.
being totally honest, if Frank would have texted me, hey, can I crash on the couch of the Airbnb for a couple of days? I probably would have been like, what are you coming out here for? What are you doing? You gotta, there would have been a lot of hemming and
See?
hawing.
You know what? I tell you what, Frank, you probably could have bought Sam dinner twice for less than the price of the hotel that you stayed at and would have been a safer spot.
Now,
I don't know. Have you
now I have
seen
a
how
question.
fat
Hold
he is in
on.
that press box?
I
Did
have
you
a
say he's
question.
called fat?
I said, brother gets some buffet style.
I can't believe
dinners
this right now.
here.
This is roast
Me?
that's happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently.
you. He's got to make sure he's got the 4-course dinner up in the press box for himself.
When do I get 4-course dinners in the press box?
You are always coming up into the press box with when you're in the press box, when you're not in the Spanish booth with Pedro, on the rare occasions when you're actually in the press box, you're always munching on something.
I am. I usually am.
All right.
That's fair.
Enough of that. Enough of that. Frank missed out. He could have saved some money. Could have hung out with a good pal of his.
Well,
and Sam.
one more question.
Yeah.
One more question. When you go to these races,
Mhm.
this is the second time you've done this. I
Yes,
think,
I
right?
went last year too.
Okay. Now, do you get a credential through the radio station?
No, I got it through me. I as an affiliate of the radio station, but Adam did not
Right.
help me last time.
Hold on. Does your credential say 97.3 The Fan?
No, it says I am essential media personnel. Actually,
That's what it said.
Okay.
yes.
Well, maybe you could get
Essential.
Adam to pay for your next trip.
No way. No way he's paying for you to cover NASCAR.
You know what, Adam? It would be pretty cool. You see how well I pick hotels. It'd be pretty cool if you help me out with Coronado.
Just to wrap it all together with all the shows, I'm now going to throw out a conspiracy that Frank intentionally picked a bad hotel to complain about it, and hopefully it gets paid for the next time.
No.
There it is. There's the conspiracy of the day.
Conspiracy is false. All
right, enough nonsense. Let's get to why we actually have Sam on, aside from them to bicker at each other like an old married couple, which is always so fun. Let's get to the Padres. And now there's a lot of stuff going on with roster moves because some things have now opened up with some injuries or that might be playing out here. And I think the biggest thing right now before we get to the pitching is the Sung-Moon Song conversation, because that drives the roster, Sam. That definitely drives of, does Ty France make the team? Now, Jose Miranda has an even better chance than probably before. You don't have to do the Ty France versus Bryce Johnson conversation. There's a lot to play out. So for everybody that's just tuning in, what's the latest on Sung-Moon Song? How likely is it that he makes opening day? And what are some of the not repercussions, but what are some of the aftermath of roster decisions if Sung-Moon Song is not on the opening day roster because of an injury?
Well, the latest on Sung-Moon Song is that he's continuing to progress. I mean, he's doing baseball activity. It is something that I think they are trying to be patient with because, remember, this was something that he had during the offseason. Showed up at spring training. They slow played it a little bit once spring training started. And now it's flared up again. And it's the same oblique, same right side. And I do think there's an acknowledgement that they've got to get this right. And you can't have this lingering into the season and become a reoccurring issue. So as far as the chances of him being ready for opening day, I would say right now, Braden, up in the air. I wouldn't go either direction with it because on one hand, we've got 2 weeks. On the other hand, we've got 2 weeks, and that's not a ton of time. So I think let's revisit that in about a week or so. Let's see if he's back into Cactus League games in about a week or so. And then you're looking at a week to opening day, and maybe you have a bit of a more realistic discussion as to whether he's going to be available for opening day or not. Now, in a case where he is not available for opening day, you're exactly right. It opens up a secondary bench spot if you were assuming that Song was on the team, and it does give opportunity to guys like you mentioned Ty France, you mentioned Jose Miranda. I'll also mention guys that are already on the 40-man and Mason McCoy and Will Wagner, who certainly kind of fill that same kind of role as a utility infielder. Look, it comes down to do the Padres want to take a Ty France or Miranda and put him on the 40-man and give him that opportunity? I think Ty France, does bring a little something different than the others in the sense of he's a guy who can really put together a good at bat, has some pop, has a lot of major league experience. And look, a lot of these guys play similar positions. France can play first, he can play third, he can also play second base. I mean, if you go and look at what he's done in the major leagues, he has played quite a bit of second as well. So he has some defensive versatility, as does Miranda, as does McCoy. So we're going to see, but it does open the door a little bit more wide for somebody like let's say a Ty France to make the opening day roster. If Song isn't ready, I don't know yet 2 weeks out that I'm ready to say he 100% won't be, but clearly this is a reoccurring oblique issue that I do think they feel they got to get right, but he is doing baseball activity and working his way back. It is not anything like a total shutdown right now for Sung-Moon Song. So probably I would say at the end of the weekend, as we kind of get more towards that 1 week mark, we'll probably have a better idea, which then does affect some other guys in the clubhouse as well.
Pitching. There's a big, pitching battle for that final spot in the rotation. We'll talk about the bullpen. The bullpen's had a little bit of, potential opportunities now too with, is Jason Adam going to be ready to go? Yuki Matsui. I mean, some of the names that could potentially start on the injured list too, to make sure they're 100% right. But let's start with the rotation. Walker Buehler pitched all right last Thursday. Very promising numbers. I liked what he said with you about like the sweeper that he learned and then implemented in the game and one of his best pitches early in the contest. But then Herman Marquez looked really good on Friday. And then Marco Gonzalez had 5 strikeouts of 3 scoreless innings. Now you have Walker Buehler again today. How do you see this one playing out? Again, German Marquez does have that edge because he did sign a major league contract.
Yeah, I mean, I and you guys may have gone over it, and I think we maybe talked about it late last week, kind of getting a fully reported set of details on what all these deals look like, and I think that's really important. Look, there are a lot of guys that are pitching well. Walker Buehler will throw again today in Tempe against the Angels, so that's another important outing for him. Of course, like you said, you have Marquez, who's done well, who would have to consent to go down to the minor leagues, and you're already paying him whatever it is, $1.75 million, I think, guaranteed.
Something around there, yeah.
Marco Gonzalez, right? Similar situation where he would have to, where he has the opt-outs, and Walker Buehler also has the opt-outs, including one before camp breaks. So these are all parts of it. Look, to me, I think Buehler and Marquez are probably my leaders in the clubhouse for that fifth and final spot. We'll see. Guys are doing good things, and it also becomes a question of, if you think Walker's going to opt out before camp breaks, then maybe you add him. If you think Marquez will take an assignment to the minor leagues, again, I don't know the answer to these questions yet, but to me, that's a very important part of these decisions. Let's throw Matt Waldron in that mix as well, who's out of options and is back throwing bullpens and probably going to get into a game or two before the Cactus League is over. So the good news is that there are a number of guys that are pitching pretty well, Buehler included, Marquez included, Gonzalez included. But as currently constructed, there's one spot as far as the fifth rotation spot. So we'll see. Look, 2 weeks is a long time as well. Pivetta obviously got pushed back. Doesn't sound like anything major. He threw a bullpen today. From what we've been told, he should be on schedule for his next start. I don't know if you guys played what Craig Stammen said about Joe Musgrove a little bit earlier, but they've, kind of, pushed Joe back a little bit. No, it doesn't sound like anything major or anything like that, but just kind of part of the progress of him coming back from the Tommy John surgery. Craig Stammen described it as sometimes you throw in a game or a bullpen and, it's a little cranky, and you've got to, their goal with Joe is to get him through the season and into the postseason. Not necessarily like laser focused on opening day. So again, we'll see kind of what happens there. That was kind of a little news this morning regarding Joe, just that they had kind of pushed him back.
Well, we just lost Sam on the connection, so he doesn't see it on the YouTube, but we got to try to reset the system with Sam on the Joe Musgrove thing. And the interesting thing about Joe, as Sam tries to reconnect, and we mentioned it because Sam brought it up, and I was going to actually ask Sam about this particular deal when it comes to Joe Musgrove and what that opens up for the Padres, but. Pushing him back is interesting in the sense that I know that they want to make him get him to the end of the season. But on top of that, there's no rush for him to be ready for opening day. Like, he doesn't have to be ready for the opening day. He doesn't have to be ready for the first month of the season. We've talked about this before with Yu Darvish last year. It's like, I need Yu Darvish later in the season more than I need him at the beginning of the season. I think you could apply the same thing to Musgrove. And the thing is, though, Frank, if the Padres get good production out of German Marquez and Walker Buehler, that was going to be my follow-up question to Sam, and it's going to be when he comes back. But if they continue to both pitch well to keep part of the organization, there might be a good chance that Joe Musgrove does stay, might be on the injured list to start the year. I think it's interesting conversation to point out to. But Sam, while you were away and reconfiguring your machine, kind of a follow-up on the Joe Musgrove conversation, because I was going to ask you about it anyway. But with the Joe Musgrove situation of what Craig Stammen talked about today, and it looks like we're going to have to flip to the phone. So, interesting. We got internet. We got, you know what? I think this is, Sam is embracing his full Ferris Bueller day off today with the fact that Ferris is pitching for the Angels and Bueller's pitching for the Padres. We finally got the Ferris Bueller deal. I mean, that's phenomenal. Ferris Bueller, day off. All right, so Sam is now on the line. We got Sam back on the line. So let's get back to what I was talking about. While you were away and dealing with the gremlins out there on Ferris Bueller's day off, since Ferris is pitching for the Angels and Bueller's pitching today for the Padres, I want to ask a follow-up on the Joe Musgrove situation, Sam, because, as you were talking about with Craig Stammen saying that we're going to push him back a little bit, he doesn't necessarily have to be ready for the beginning part of the season. And I would not be surprised, and I'm not going to speculate, but the situation, the scenario I'm sure that they've played out of, if Walker Buehler and German Marquez pitch at a very high level, maybe we can let Joe Musgrove ease into it a little bit more and have him start the season on the injured list. I would not be surprised if that happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's another interesting thought going into the season of a guy like Joe Musgrove or even Michael King that they want to ease back into work because, as you mentioned before you went away, they want to get these guys through the entire season more than just, hey, we're ready for opening weekend.
Yes, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm back. I'm on the phone. Well, let me ask you this, Braden. Where did I leave off on talking about Joe?
Where you left off was on the situation of, I think the last thing we heard was what I just said of the Joe Musgrove. They want to make sure he makes it through the season more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to jump ahead, right, and like create any more concern than there necessarily needs to be. That was just some news this morning that they were giving him a little bit of a breather and kind of standard stuff coming back from this type of injury, this type of surgery. But I do think Braden, in the more general sense with Joe throughout the season, this may be kind of how it is a little bit, throughout the year for them to get him through the full season, for them to get him into the postseason, right? And get a full year out of Joe Musgrove and get him pitching at the most important time of the year, And by the way, this isn't the first we've heard of this where, hey, there may be times where it's a little touch and go, where they got to give him a breather. So, again, I don't want to create alarm, based on what Craig Stammen said today. It was interesting because that's the first we heard of it this morning. But again, I think you look at the bigger picture with Joe this season. I think this may be a little bit how it could go where, there may be, a week or two where they say, hey, we're going to give him a breather, for a week or two, and we're going to, utilize some off days or whatever it might be. So I'm with you. We all want, that prime version of Joe Musgrove, this season. And I certainly believe he's going to work his way back to being, the Joe pre-injury, but it may not quite look like that, both result-wise, schedule-wise, right away. And maybe we're kind of seeing, here 2 weeks out from from opening day, sort of like the early version of that, where they're like, hey, we've got to give him a little breather and make sure he's sort of ready for the long haul.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation. Let's quickly talk about the bullpen. Yuki Matsui threw again today. Saw you posted the video of him throwing in a bullpen. Jason Adam is starting to run around a little bit more. It doesn't seem like, we don't know if he has been officially cleared yet or not. But again, other potential players that might start on the injured list, not with major serious things, but just might not be ready for the opening weekend, really opens the door for Ron Marinaccio, who's playing in the World Baseball Classic, or a Logan Gillespie, who's looked outstanding so far in spring training, and a couple other. Kyle Hart's been great as a potential long relief guy in the left-hander. More competition. And so far, just kind of the overall synopsis is the Padres are actually getting a lot out of this competition and really achieving their goal of guys competing at a very high level to make this team.
Well, I think if there's one area where they can withstand the slow play guys, whether it's Adam or Matsui, and both had updates today. Matsui threw a bullpen. Adam actually threw in a simulated game just within the last hour or so. And that was the first time he had really thrown in like a real game situation where they put minor league fielders behind him and, he was backing up bases, and it was, the first time we've seen him do that. So that's another good step for him. But it is an area, Braden, where they can afford to slow play it because they've got a really good bullpen and they've also got some depth. I mean, when you talk about Marinaccio, who's out of options, Gillespie, who's out of options, Alec Jacob, Kyle Hart, I continue to say that I think Kyle Hart is somebody that, you shouldn't overlook, because he's somebody that can fill some different roles. He can be kind of a lefty specialist. He could be kind of a long man. He also could, be in the minor leagues and be starter depth. But it is a spot, you're right, where you can afford to, like, hey, Jason, you don't need Jason Adam on opening day. Now, I think he's doing everything in his power to get there. But you can slow play it a little bit. And in turn, it does open up options, or I should say it opens up possibilities for the Padres with guys that are out of options, notably Marinaccio and Gillespie. Could both those guys make the opening day roster if you have room for them, and then you kind of kick the can down the road on the no options part of it? Yeah, I think that's fully possible. So, look, again, that's the one area where they're really deep, they're really good, and you can afford totally to slow play it. And again, it sounds weird to say because you want the talents of a guy like Jason Adam available and ready to pitch, but it does. It's not the worst, the quote unquote worst thing in the world. If you're able to maybe add a guy that's out of options because you can afford to slow play a guy like, let's say, a Jason Adam. We'll see.
Should be a fun conversation. 2 weeks out, Sam. 2 weeks, you get to go back to America's finest city. I know you can't wait to come back and have a burrito, huh?
Yeah, I can't wait. Get back to OB, do a little Mike's Taco Club, little Nico's, something like that. That'll be good. I apologize for the technical difficulties. My analysis on the technical difficulties, honestly, I think the hot spot that I use to connect, and you guys know what I'm talking about, the listener might not. I think it's maybe overheated. My equipment was kind of sitting in the sun for a while. So when I came back over, I was like, ooh, this stuff is real. And I tried to avoid that, and I forgot to move it before the sun shifted on it. I think maybe it overheated.
Oh, no. Well, you know what? So. It's spring training for the equipment too, Sam. You know that.
Yeah.
So, all right, Sam. Well, you know what? I know you're excited for Mike. We got to take you to Craft Taco too when you come back.
There we go.
Yeah, so we'll make it happen. All right, Sam. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Thanks again, man.
All right, guys. See ya. Thanks.
Sam Levitt joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. Joins his coverage is brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys. Go to davidpshapiro.com. Helping good people regain their future.
Way to persevere, buddy.
He made it through. Sam was like working for it. We didn't show Sam on video a lot, like during that, like when he was just cranking it out, trying to figure that stuff out. I've been there. I understand. The hotspot's not always great. You know what? You know what technology doesn't like, Frank? Heat. Does not like heat. When we come back, we'll talk about the roster and all of these roster decisions. We will also take a little bit look at what Alex Verdugo could potentially bring to the Padres. More conversation next on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. We got a lot to get to here on the update for San Diego High School athletics. And the biggest takeaway this week in San Diego High School sports, the section keeps producing great teams, but the CIF state playoffs are a completely different animal. Multiple San Diego teams made deep runs, but a lot of seasons ended just 1 or 2 wins short of a state final. Competition in Southern California is brutal, and we saw that play out across basketball and soccer this week.
Yeah, exactly. Let's start with the deepest run. Francis Parker School girls basketball had the best season in program history, winning a San Diego section open division title and reaching the SoCal Regional semifinal, but it ended in heartbreak. They led by 12 points in the second half before falling 85-79 to Rancho Christian School. The story of the game was freshman phenom Addison Archer, who exploded for 44 points. And no, that is not a typo. I did not misspeak. 44 points in a state semifinal as a freshman. That is insane.
Parker had 4 players in double figures, including 29 points and 12 rebounds from Brianna Brown. But Archer just kept attacking the rim and living at the free throw line. Despite the loss, Francis Parker won the Open Division, won 2 state playoff games, and had the deepest run in school history. And that's a season to build on and something to be proud about over there in Linda Vista. But Vista had a little bit of a surprise run. Another impressive run came from Vista High School. Panthers reached the Division V SoCal Regional semifinal, but their run ended in a 43-35 loss to Shure High School. They finished the season 20-14, which doesn't jump off the page until you remember this was a first-year coach in Deanna Hale and a team that barely got into the playoffs.
Yeah, they beat 2 teams in the state tournament before finally running into a defensive wall. Senior Isabella Mosley led the team with 17 points, but Shure's 1-3-1 zone shut down Vista's offense most of the game. Still, for a first-year head coach, that is a pretty darn good season to set a foundation for.
Absolutely. Now, other teams in San Diego struggling in basketball. Overall, the state playoffs, rough for the section. San Diego teams struggled against the bigger programs in Los Angeles and the Central Valley. Torrey Pines High School boys basketball lost to Palisades Charter High School. Carlsbad fell to Bakersfield Christian. Poway saw its 7-game win streak snapped by Birmingham Community Charter High School. And that's the reality of the state tournament. You're playing major metro powers every round. A lot of those teams did really well in the CIF playoffs down here in San Diego. State playoffs, just kind of a different animal.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing you could say with soccer as well, as Coastal Academy made some big history. The biggest local story outside of basketball belonging to Coastal Academy High School girls soccer, the Stingrays advanced to its first ever CIF state soccer championship with a 2-0 win over Kennedy High School. Now they've won 6 straight matches and have 15 shutouts this season. They will face Lowell High School for the state title, a huge moment for a smaller North County program.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive on the soccer side, but we had more soccer close calls. San Diego also had a few teams just fall short of the state finals. Del Norte lost 1-0 to Mater Dei. San Pasqual lost 2-1 to Miramonte. Both teams had strong seasons, but ran into elite opponents. Let's move to some spring news in volleyball. They're already ramping up. Boys volleyball had a big showcase at the Best of the West tournament. This event featured 12 of the top 25 teams in the country, and San Diego actually held its own. Team finished in the gold division, included the Bishop School, Torrey Pines, La Costa Canyon, Carlsbad, and Poway. And one interesting storyline, Torrey Pines star Griffin Dieter, one of the top liberos in the country, switched to outside hitter this season at 6'4", not your typical libero anyway, and it shows how deep some of these San Diego volleyball programs are.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going back to your world of football, one more note from the football world. Former La Jolla County Day School star quarterback Braxton Burmeister is returning to San Diego High School football. He is joining the staff at Mission Hills High School as offensive coordinator. Burmeister still holds San Diego section records for career passing yards at 11,512 and career touchdown passes at 127. And he will be working with a future 4-star quarterback in Ferreira, I believe. And that could really be an interesting program to watch this year.
Even in the offseason, you still find news for high school football here on our updates. So a lot of stuff to report on the high school stretch as the winter season is coming to a close and spring season is in full force. Remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97tothefantasy.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got a lot to talk about today on the show. And since we only have a couple of minutes here, I do want to say, because I saw it in the chat, how about the Raiders trading Geno Smith and a 7th-round pick to the New York Jets for a 6th-round pick? Per ESPN sources, Geno Smith returns to the team to which he started his NFL career for in 2013. Geno Smith back with the Jets, Frank. Is that the joke?
It's
The Jets.
It's the Jets, man.
The Jets. Consistently doing Jet things.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, did they want him after he had the great years in Seattle? No. They wanted him after the awful, terrible year in Vegas from the Raiders. That's when the Jets decided to trade for Geno Smith.
What did they give up to get Justin Fields, by the way?
Probably a lot. I'll let you look that up real quick. Adam Schefter says the Jets have the number 2 and number 16 picks in round 1 and number 33 and 44 in round 2 of this year's draft, and then 3 first-round picks next year when it's expected to be a much deeper quarterback class. As of now, Geno Smith will return to the Jets organization and be QB1 for 2026.
He signed a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Jets in free agency.
Oh, Justin Fields?
Mm-hmm. Including a $30 million in guaranteed money.
That's a tough. That's a lot of money on a back. Are they the Falcons?
And was benched after 2 months.
I know. Geno Smith, back in the New York groove. I'm back. Good thing you're not a Jets fan, dude. I was giving Frank crap today. I was like, with the hospital, I was like, oh, cool. Did they clinch? And he was like, no, they play tonight. I'm like, you might curse them. He's like, it's not celebratory.
Yeah, no, this is not celebratory. This is me rooting for my team tonight.
They have a good chance to play in here.
Yes, they do, which would be even better.
You already got the credential for that.
Yes, I do.
And guess what? You don't have to buy a hotel. That's the best part about that entire thing. We give you crap on the hotel because we're happy that you're still alive, Frank. We don't want you to put yourself in a dangerous situation like that again.
A couple of dangerous places in Coronado, I'm sure. I can probably find.
If there's a dangerous place in Coronado, which there probably isn't, you would find the dangerous place in Coronado. Yeah. I don't think you can last minute book a hotel there for this one.
Nah,
I don't think that's
so
going to be
either.
the case. I don't think that's going to be the case. You're going to have to ask for some listeners to potentially get you in. But I mentioned the Hofstra shirt. They had a big game. They have a big game tonight. They win. They're in the NCAA tournament.
Yes,
they got to
they
be
are.
Monmouth.
Monmouth, yes.
Okay. So I immediately said, well, knowing you and your sports teams, it doesn't really work out well for Frank when he wears their apparel the day of said game. Yeah, I think you should have waited till tomorrow.
It was 72% chance at winning this game. 73 if you round it up, according to ESPN Analytics.
Oh, no.
They're 4.5 point. Well, they're 5.5 point favorites today.
We've been so close to just be. I got ESPN Plus on. I had to convince Frank to put that on so we can have the Big 12 tournament on
You
there
didn't
right
have
now.
to convince me. You wanted to watch it. That's fine.
And I have a bad feeling that if ESPN's predictive metrics let down Frank, we might never. It would be permanently banned from the televisions.
It took him overtime last night. It took Hofstra overtime last night, but they got it done. And ESPN predictive metrics had them as the favorites against Towson last night. So I'm happy.
Okay. What do we got with Monmouth tonight? You got any? What are the storylines?
19-4, 11-7 in the conference. They were number 4 in the conference, a game behind Hofstra. Their leading point scorer, Rivera Torres, 16 points per game. Should be an interesting little night here. If they can shut down Rivera Torres, he's leading in points and in rebounds. If they can shut him down, I think they'll be all right. We'll be in a good position to be in the national championship tournament for the first time since they didn't play it.
Did you say Towson? Is it Towson or Towson?
Whatever. It's there's an L next to their name, which is really all that I care about.
Aha! Go Essex. Like, what was that pronunciation of Towson State? You know what? Any school that's on the East Coast, I kind of just pivot to Frank to pronounce it. Because there's a lot of weird pronunciations on the East Coast that you would think is one thing. And it's actually something way different.
Yeah, like Monmouth.
Or Worcester. I don't even want to talk about the pronunciations for things in Massachusetts.
One of my friends is from the Boston area, and he was really getting on my nerves last night.
Don't tell
I'm
me.
like,
Don't tell me you did that.
yes, I did.
Don't tell you.
I said, hey, listen, bud, you can say whatever you want the next time I go out to Worcester. He's like,
Oh my God.
excuse me?
He probably exploded.
He's like, excuse me? I'm like, yeah, you see?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing to me right now.
I said it, punk. What are you going to do about it, huh? You feeling lucky, punk? I just came out of hell, and that's all called a hotel. The Traveler's Inn. You think I can't handle a little Worcester action here? Classic.
But yes, I would love the last time Hofstra was eligible, the last time Hofstra won the Colonial.
Oh, see, you know what?
And made the national championship. They didn't play it because of a disease that happened.
I got to say, dude, we can't be mispronouncing Towson. You want to know why?
Why?
Because Nick DiNucci is a Towson alumni.
Oh, well, sorry. My bad. Y'all lost the pride last night. Suck
you know
on
what?
that one.
That's what I needed. I needed the S talk between Frank and Nick DiNucci. That's what I needed. I needed that. I absolutely needed that. And we missed the opportunity because Nick has not told us that he went to Towson, or maybe he did and we forgot. And Frank,
I didn't know that. No.
Right. And Frank only pulls out the Hofstra stuff when they're in the championship. Okay. That tells you everything you know about his bandwagon fanship of Hofstra.
It's like what I said. Stop it. I wore this opening night too. Relax.
The bookends of the season, I guess.
But it's also the same thing with you when the Islanders played the Ducks the other night. I'm like, oh hey, Islanders played the Ducks. 4 middle finger emojis.
Yeah, exactly. That was great. That worked out very well for you, by the way, too.
Hey, yeah.
Pulling the goalie with 8 minutes left. Nice. Nice. Good one, buddy. Good one.
Never change, Patrick.
When
change.
we come back, we're going to talk about the Alex Verdugo factor and hear from Alex Verdugo as he met with the media yesterday. We'll talk about it on the other end. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan.
Time for the motorsports update for the week, and I'm flying solo as I sit here at the press box at Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. A great weekend of racing overall, not just with NASCAR, but also with IndyCar and overseas with Formula One as well, kicking off their season in Melbourne, Australia. Let's start with NASCAR here, as we are again in Phoenix. A great race, a race that had a lot of twists and turns over the course of the day. The two drivers that were clearly the class of the field were Christopher Bell in the number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing and Ryan Blaney, who ended up winning the race here this week. Those two by far and away had the best cars here today. Christopher Bell stayed out of trouble, had most of the day to himself out in front, just on pure raw pace and speed. Ryan Blaney, though, had to overcome a lot of obstacles, had a couple of loose wheels, not once, but twice had a loose wheel. Left front the first time, a left rear the second time, had to come from the back of the field twice, ended up passing 49 cars, which is by far and away more than any other driver was able to pass over the course of the race. Couple of late restarts, two-tire decision, again, really helped Ryan Blaney get that race win, get himself into a position. Had to pass Ty Gibbs at the end of the race, who was fighting for his first ever win in the NASCAR Cup Series. Unfortunately for Ty, came up just a little bit short. He's going to end up getting fourth place today. Christopher Bell, who took 4 tires on the last pit stop with about 20-25 to go, made the same mistake, you could say, that Denny Hamlin made come the end of the season last year here at Phoenix that ended up losing him a championship. Christopher Bell just did not have enough time, cleared Kyle Larson and Ty Gibbs with about 7 laps to go, give or take, and just could not make up what was about a 1-second gap to Ryan Blaney in order to get the race win. Tyler Reddick, who was going for 4 for 4 this year to start off, unfortunately did not have that go well for him. He never really had it today. He had a good car in the first stage, finished, I believe it was 3rd, if I remember correctly, in the first stage, but just did not have it the rest of the day. He ended up finishing 8th. His 2311 teammate Bubba Wallace comes home in 6th. just to round out the top five or six for the Cup Series. Ryan Blaney collects his first win of the year, back-to-back here at Phoenix as well. Remember, he won the last race of the season here at Phoenix as well. Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin rounding out the top five. Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell, and Eric Jones, who qualified in 32nd for the race here today, coming home in the top 10. Yesterday's races here were also very, very good. Jesse Love dominated the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race here last night. Unfortunately, he did not come away with the win. Justin Allgaier in the number 7 for Junior Motorsports, really, really good on the long run. And no matter what Jesse Love tried to do at the end, Justin Allgaier was going to be the car to beat, and he was the winner last night. So Junior Motorsports comes away with their first win of the season. IndyCar yesterday afternoon was a fantastic race. David Malukas started on pole in the number 12 for Penske, led the first 73 laps. Unfortunately, wasn't able to lead the rest of the way. After the first round of pit cycles, went through. Joseph Newgarden, who qualified in second, was right up there all day, was right up there battling with Pato O'Ward, who was able to grab the lead of the race as his pit cycle was so far off. But the biggest story that came out of yesterday, well, the biggest story was the fact that Alex Palou, who has been leading the IndyCar Championship ever since, I believe it was August of 2024, crashing out in the first 10 laps of this race. Did have a little bit of contact with the number 76, put Alex Palou in the wall that's actually just behind me here, just behind the camera shot, and ended his day early. So Alex Palou, for the first time in a calendar year and a half, will not be the points leader in the IndyCar Series. Great racing towards the end between Joseph Newgarden and Christian Rasmussen. Rasmussen found a lane that nobody else here was able to find yesterday, and was able to really run that middle lane where no one else was able to. Got into it, I believe it was with Will Power towards the end of the race, cut Will Power's tire down, and then from there, Rasmussen was kind of fighting back. Mick Schumacher had a solid run. He finishes 18th in his first ever oval race, coming over from Europe, coming over from Formula One, the Formula 2 champion. Found it quite interesting a couple of times here yesterday. And speaking of Formula One, we'll go to Australia as Jordan.
Remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 972thefantasy.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Big game for Frank tonight. Hofstra.
Let's go Pride.
Pride trying to get their way into the NCAA tournament. We got a lot of those games going on. College basketball in full force. The conference championship week's fun. It's a fun week to be a part of college basketball. This is the appetizer to what is March Madness. So can't wait to see this play out. We got the Big 12 tournament in here, I think. Did Jocelyn's Sun Devils pull it off over David Vu's Baylor Bears? What happened to Baylor, man? I mean, that is a basketball team that is really falling on hard times with Scott Drew.
The TCU fan. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, stop. No. You guys are good. No.
Yeah, wait. What happened to Baylor? They lost to TCU in football.
All right, let's not get too carried away. TCU still got to play, no?
Yeah, but we're already in the tournament. I don't really care. I mean, if they win extra games and get a higher seed, great. If not, we're in. It's whatever. We play the winner of Oklahoma State, Colorado. We've beaten Oklahoma State twice, both way too close than it needed to be. In fact, I would say that TCU got the benefit of a bad officiating at Oklahoma State. I thought Oklahoma State got screwed when TCU went there and won. And then they lost to Colorado already this year on the road and looked like complete S the entire game. So one and done in the tournament is not out of the realm of possibilities for TCU. Absolutely not. But I will say this. They like to pop off when they were like really good at men's and women's basketball. When I was in college, the Baylor Bears do. They got swept in both women's basketball and men's basketball and in football so far. Where's the brooms? All right, nobody cares about that. Let's get to. I want to get to some of this Alex Verdugo stuff, but we're getting close to sports thread time. So we're going to get to the sports thread. We're going to talk about Alex Verdugo later on in the show and get when we reset with some Padres talk in the next hour. So it's time to talk about what's going on in the sports world with today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me.
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what's going on in the sports world besides Hofstra trying to win a championship tonight?
We got some baseball news that we've kind of glossed over
Number 1.
Here today. The Philadelphia Phillies signed left-hander Jesus Luzardo to a 5-year, $135 million contract extension, locking him up before he could reach free agency after this upcoming season. Luzardo went 15-7 with a 3.92 ERA, 216 strikeouts last year after being acquired from the Miami Marlins, quickly becoming a key piece of the Philadelphia Phillies rotation alongside Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez. The deal keeps one of the best, one of baseball's top strikeout lefties in Philadelphia as the Phillies continue to push to stay atop the National League East. Is committing $135 million to Luzardo a smart move for the Phillies championship window or a risky bet on a pitcher with injury history?
It's a lot of these moves at this point are going to be every move comes with risk now. And it's just a certain level of risk. I think it's worth the risk for Philadelphia. And I like more moves for MLB teams to try to keep the talent that they have had part of their organization. Right. So for Jesus Luzardo, it's great to see that he's able to stay with the Philadelphia Phillies, and we want more of that. That's what the other leagues have been able to do. I think that's what a lot of fans are clamoring for. So, good for Jesus Luzardo. He got his deal. Good for the Phillies. They get him part of the organization for a long period of time. Cost him $27 million a year. Pretty Stanford for a starting pitcher. I like the move all around. I think it's great for the Phillies. I think it's great for Jesus Luzardo.
That's cool.
Number 2.
I know.
This is one that we discussed yesterday. The National Basketball Association.
In the National Basketball Association.
Has put the kibosh.
Oh, yes.
On the Atlanta Hawks' planned Magic City Night.
What? Explain for us exactly, Frank. What is Magic City Night? Is that something to do with Disneyland?
It was a promotion meant to celebrate the famous Magic City during a game against the Orlando Magic.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that sounds cute.
The event was intended to highlight the club's cultural impact in Atlanta with themed merchandise, music, and its well-known lemon pepper wings. Hey, that's not
you know
that bad.
What? This sounds pretty great. What's the NBA so upset about?
The league stepped in after concerns from fans, partners, and other stakeholders. Big money always ruining everything.
What? Come on.
Some elements of the night will remain, including a halftime performance by T.I. and the food offerings, but the broader promotion tied to the strip club
excuse me,
has been scrapped. Did the NBA make the right call by putting the kibosh on the Hawks Magic City Night, or should teams be allowed to celebrate local culture however it sees fit?
You tell me we can't have Cheetahs Night here? Pacers Night? I don't know what is it? Candy Shop Night?
Well, you can. There's no NBA team here to put that promotion on, but you could.
I can't believe the Atlanta Hawks were like, this is going to be a great idea. I cannot believe that that's what they thought. This is going to be great. The NBA is like, excuse me? What took the NBA this long to just be like, yeah, no, you can't do this?
To be fair, the NBA has had a lot on its plate this season, from 2 brawls in a week, an active coach getting arrested by the feds in a gambling sting.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Hawks promotional schedule was probably pretty far down on the list.
Probably. They probably just got on their table like a couple of days ago.
Oh, hey, by the way,
Guys, what is this?
Yeah, by the way, did you see what the Hawks are doing?
Oh my God. It's hilarious to me that this was like an actual thing. Like Juan says, and it's it's a historic club in hip hop history. That's fine. But like the reality is it's still affiliated with a strip club. And a professional league can't have like strip club nights. It's a bad thing for like the brand of like the league when you're trying to, I don't know, promote to families.
Recoup whatever image you have sullied over the course of the
probably
season
not
year.
something you want to do anymore in this day. I mean, you hear the old stories about like sports talk radio guys that used to do like shows at strip clubs. Like, is that like if they had a strip club? Like, are you cool with like Adams? Are you cool with your kid wearing a Magic City hoodie? Like, are you giving your kid some like Cheetahs gear? Or like girls from like the Midway district, you'll be repping that. You repping the candy shop stuff. I mean, you want your kids doing that? I feel like it's probably not a great idea. Like you should probably just not do those kind of things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. It would have been
a great point of contention in the movie Semi-Pro.
You know what? That's
like the perfect thing.
Don't give the San Diego Clippers any ideas.
Yeah, no, don't. We'll leave that one to the Flint. You know
Michigan
what? Tropics.
Like Augie said, the NBA wasn't invited to the after party at the club, and so therefore they're like, you can't do this.
We don't need to be associated with any gambling issues.
Come down to the game for kids. Make it rain. Air guns. Foul.
He draws the foul.
And with that,
Number 3.
Tarek Skubal has decided he will not make another start for the United States national baseball team in the World Baseball Classic after initially considering it. The Detroit Tigers ace and 2-time AL Cy Young winner stuck with his original spring training plan after consulting with the team manager, AJ Hinch, and his agent, who just so happens to be Scott Boras. Skubal who can become a free agent after this season, is expected to command a massive contract. Said the business side of baseball played a role in the decision, even though he loved pitching for Team USA. Do star players have too much to lose pitching in tournaments like this, or should they be should representing your country outweigh contractual concerns?
That's the level of importance that I brought up at the beginning part of the show. If it was like to that level of importance, what would they be doing? They'd be pitching in the deal.
Yeah, it's not World Cup level.
It's
and
not.
We said
it's
that
not
at the beginning.
Right, 100%. Like, I love the WBC. I think it's fun. I think it's great. And that doesn't mean the players playing in it don't think it obviously matters to a lot of those guys that play. And I think it's starting to build a little bit more. But until players start just playing full go the whole time, like the World Cup and like MLB has completely involved the situation where they let these guys go full go. There's not like controversy every time somebody gets hurt in it. It's these guys are going to worry about what makes them money at this point in time. I mean, Tarek Skubal, I think it's lame that he committed to it and only pitched one game. That's lame.
Yes.
Like if you're either in or you're out. I think it's a lot easier for the position players, but for the pitchers, like at some point you have to understand what is providing for your livelihood. Like what is your livelihood? And the livelihood is playing for Major League Baseball. And that's a factor to a lot of pitchers. You can't let that affect your bottom line of making money in a small amount of time, especially when we hear from all these guys about how important it is to make all this money and all this other stuff. So I get it from the perspective of Tarek Skubal from a business side of things, but if you knew that going in, you wouldn't have committed to them in the first place.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't have. It shouldn't be this conversation. Like, if you were in, you were in. At this point, like, you can't be I can't do it now. It doesn't work like that. Good stuff on the sports thread. Yeah, I think Scuba was lame for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to dedicate your time to the team in the WBC, do it. That means you weighed all the options out there of, like, I'm going to have to pitch twice. I might be not ready to go for the season. Paul Skeens did that. He went out there and pitched. Pitched great yesterday. Alex Verdugo, Padre. Talk about it.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97 through the fans, brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
I think I'm going up there today. I think I'm going to do it. I've decided.
Okay.
Where's your appointment at?
Good
Up by the
question.
Craft Taco?
No,
No,
I don't think so.
lame. How dare you schedule appointments not by the Craft Taco
I know,
for the betterment
right?
of your health? Are you kidding me?
What a jerk.
What a selfish guy over
I
here.
know.
It's such an eye guy sometimes.
Oh, well, actually,
Yes, Jocelyn is in the Nat. Go see Eddie at the Nat. Jocelyn, tell Eddie at the Nat, work at the Craft Taco.
it's on
That I
Balboa
sent
Avenue.
Wait a minute. Like down the street over here?
9217.
Let's not give out your address of
No,
where
I'm-
exactly
I'm
where you're going.
Just,
but
I'm not doing that.
you just started saying the address out loud.
No, I started
Safety.
saying the area code.
You mean the zip code?
Yes, that thing. Yes, 92117. I'm trying to see
Oh.
what Balboa Avenue that is.
92117 is, I'm sure somebody would probably say. City of San Diego. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
exactly.
Google.
I could have
Appreciate
told
it.
you that.
It's like in between. That's kind of like, it's not really Claremont. I get Claremont, maybe
Okay, so it's
Bay
not.
Park,
It's
Claremont
not.
area.
It's not like Balboa Park, Balboa Avenue.
No, it's not like Balboa Park. No, Balboa is like over here.
And
It's
oops.
yeah. We're gonna go to. So I'm gonna go to Craft Taco. Jocelyn, I told you, like, go get down to the Nat and talk to Eddie, who's working his tail off down there at the Craft Taco at the Natural History Museum, and tell him I sent you. Get yourself some tacos.
Just
There you go.
walk in, burst through the door, and say
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
they really appreciate that.
As long as you find the place first, because Frank couldn't find the place.
I've been there multiple times since. So,
Yeah, not crazy.
by the way,
I'll be going to the Sorrento Valley one today on the way up to Cathedral Scripps Ranch Volleyball.
by the way, I don't believe if you're going just for the Craft Taco, you do not have to pay for the net. You can just go
Correct.
to the
You could
Craft
just go to the
Taco.
Craft Taco.
Yes.
Also, the other cool thing about Craft Taco down at Balboa at the Natural History Museum, I know you like the parking, right?
Mhm.
It's a problem. You can DoorDash it.
There you go.
You can Uber Eats it. I mean, they're on those apps. So like if you're in the area, if you're in North Park or downtown or anywhere on the area, you can DoorDash it to avoid the parking fee.
Yeah. Can you DoorDash this to the nearest free parking lot, please?
So you don't have to pay as much for a delivery fee.
Exactly. Just
Yes.
to the nearest free lot.
It's probably honestly cheaper to DoorDash Craft Taco than it is maybe to pay for the parking at this point.
Yes, you can. You can go look at trains, as Trav Gundy said.
Trav Gunny goes and looks at trains every day down at Balboa Park. Gets himself the Craft Taco.
Like I said, on the way back, driving on the 8 on the way back, I'm sitting there. I'm like, you know what? This has been great. I'm driving, doing my favorite activity,
Yeah, nobody loves driving more than Frank does.
No,
especially in traffic.
I love driving. It's the other people around me that ruin it for me. Driving is my favorite thing to do. I just went to Artistic Disneyland for an entire weekend and gave myself a guided tour for as long as I wanted to. And now I'm driving home next to a ridiculously long train. This has been the perfect weekend.
Oh my God. I'm surprised you're still here. Surprised, to say the least.
Yeah, I texted you on Saturday. I'm like, brother, you're in trouble. There's monetary is the only thing that's keeping me away from going to Vegas next weekend. This weekend.
There's probably a lot better place to stay in Vegas. Well,
I would imagine.
Vegas used to be cheap. It's not cheap anymore.
What are the A's? Which strip club are the A's going to promote?
Oh my God, they can't.
Year?
There's too many. They can't pick one. You know who's going to be the official strip club of the A's?
Well, which one's the worst one?
Oh God,
because the A's are the worst team. So which one?
They're not going to be the worst team this year. They're not. They're not going to be the worst team this year. I think the A's are going to be pretty decent. I think they're going to be pretty decent.
Well, no,
so
I meant like
decent
worst run team. Well, then they're competing with the Raiders. That's.
Oh yeah.
All right, what's the second worst strip
You're
club?
exposing everybody in the chat right now because they're all putting strip club names that they have heard of. They have heard of. To go back to the trains, I still can't believe you haven't tried to volunteer at the train museum.
No.
Why not?
Because I have to pay to park.
Yeah, that's also true. You're not a city resident, though, either. So you got to pay the full instead of just the $5. Hey, parking's free. Is it free? Well, if you register with us for $5, then it is free.
It's worth it for
Excuse me?
It's worth it for the craft taco, though.
It is worth it for the craft taco. But excuse me? That's the hey, look, city residents, it's free. Is it free? I don't think it is. I don't know who this works on, but it's not working on intelligent people with the free let's just register for $5. It's free. Is it free? Sounds like it's $5, Frank. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like it's $5. All right.
What is
Alex Verdugo?
Juan, why did you?
Oh my God. Juan has been the expert on the strip clubs today in the chat. Nobody is more upset about Magic City Night getting canceled than Juan Ruiz today. Guy doesn't even live in Atlanta. All right, let's get to Alex Verdugo.
Yes.
Okay, let's play some of the stuff from Alex Verdugo because the Alex Verdugo we've gotten. Are you surprised at how many people have reached out to us and asked questions about Alex Verdugo?
I'm more surprised that anytime somebody does, Sam seems to talk to him and post something about him. That's kind of how that's worked.
Because we've had like people in the chat go like, "What about Alex? When's Alex Verdugo going to play? Where's Alex Verdugo? What's Alex Verdugo going to do? I hope he doesn't make the team. I can't believe we signed him." Like, everybody needs to calm down a little bit. Okay, everybody, calm down. Minor league camp, minor league contract, minor leaguer. I'm sure he can help the team out in a lot of different capacities throughout the year, but he's not as pressing in terms of making the team or like saving his spot as some of the other guys that would just be on their merry way. So,
think you'd be able to trade him for Mookie Betts?
Probably not, because that would involve trading with the Dodgers and not the Red Sox, who are susceptible apparently to trading away really good players for almost nothing. So there's that. Have the Dodgers ever regretted trading anybody at this point in time? Aside from maybe Yordan Alvarez? I mean, if you went through like a lot of the Dodger trades where they're shipping off these great prospects, did they ever like go like, man, I really wish we kept Keibert Ruiz. I really wish we kept. I mean, you can list anybody in the Red Sox trade. Did they even have anybody left from that trade? I mean, they fleece everybody on these deals. Think they miss Zach McKinstry right now? Do the Los Angeles Dodgers miss guys like Oh man, he was just batting like near the top of one of these orders the other day. I forgot who it was. It was like Zach McKinstry level. But all these guys that get called up. Like here's the deal. Like Andy Pajas might have a regress season and he'll get shipped off and he'll just turn into nothing as soon as he leaves the Dodgers organization. It seems like that's the case multiple times. Alex Verdugo. Now, let's talk about Alex Verdugo for a second, then let's hear from Alex Verdugo. I like the Alex Verdugo sign as a minor leaguer because he signed a minor league deal. He's in minor league camp. He's working with minor league players in Peoria, not expected in Cactus League games yet. It's a very low risk chance in a guy that might be able to find what he was in LA. Former strength was hitting right-handed pitching from 2018 to 2023. He had a 292 average against right-handed pitching, top 15 in MLB among hitters with 1,500 plus plate appearances. I mean, he could potentially in the future be a platoon bat or bench weapon if he rebounds in El Paso, which we know those numbers are going to get artificially sent to the roof, right? So maybe that works out for Alex Verdugo. But the problem with Alex Verdugo was the 2025 collapse. I mean, he has slowly started to regress as he made his way around different teams with the Boston Red Sox, with the New York Yankees, and then last year with the Atlanta Braves, where he hit 233 with a 356 overall. He had 235 with a 388 slug versus righties. I mean, wasn't very good. He got a hot start, massive slump, released in July. Teams have historically questioned Alex Verdugo's commitment and his maturity. The Padres had previously considered acquiring him, but backed away because of those concerns. But early reports this spring say he's highly engaged. He's helping younger players, different positive attitude that he has. And so right now, if you look at best case scenario for Alex Verdugo, he has a great start to the season in AAA and maybe earns a call-up by May or June. Possible role would be a fourth outfielder, left-handed platoon bat. I mean, there's a lot to break down with Alex Verdugo. I think there's a lot of positives with Alex Verdugo, but the risk is not high. And that's the good thing about this particular sign and a lot of the Padres signs. They're not high-risk signings for the Padres. Let's play the first clip from Alex Verdugo. Caught up with Sam Levitt yesterday, and he talks about the opportunity he has with the Padres and what he felt like he needed to work on heading into camp this year.
You know, the way I'm thinking about it and the way that I go about it is that this is just an opportunity, right? A foot in the door, go back, get my body healthy, clean up some things that have been bothering me in the last, for some time, and just kind of get back to just moving and feeling like my own self. And, I feel like I'm a lot closer to my normal. And, I just figured if, it's kind of like you're almost betting on yourself in a sense, right? It's just like I just want to come out here, be healthy, play ball, and just if I'm up there with the Padres, that's ultimately the end goal. Get up there and help them win games and do whatever I can. But we're focused on what we have to focus on right now, and that's just getting healthy, getting right, performing down here, and then get the call.
When you say getting right and working on some things, what are some of those things in particular that you felt like you needed to work on?
A lot of it stems just to my back leg. For the hitting aspect of it, never really struggled in my life with hitting. So, I think the last year and some change has been a little bit of a grind for me mentally and physically. So I think just having some time off last year, just kind of sitting back at the house, breaking down some things and understanding not only my body, but my swing patterns. Just kind of realized that, a lot of my left leg, my whole left side of my chain was kind of a little bit imbalanced. And, even if, let's just say your glute's not firing, maybe your knee, your adductor, your hamstring is kind of starting to get that stability in there. So I just felt like when I was loading in, I wasn't really into my back hip, my legs as much. I was kind of just real drifty, pushy, kind of getting out of it. So, it was just, cleaning up the body. And then that's when I say when healthy. It was nothing where it's like, oh, it's such a bad injury, you got to be on the IL. But it's more of like having a better regimen, having a better routine in the weight room, and understanding my own personal body of what breaks down. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've worked on.
So a lot of those things, obviously, and he's saying all the right things, just like we've heard from a lot of the players that have come in now. But Frank, this fits the description of a lot of players that the Padres are taking chances on this year in 2026. None of them have high risk because if it doesn't work out, it's not going to cost anything to get rid of these players. And a lot of them come with a very high ceiling. That's kind of where the Padres need to be in terms of building up their team based on the situation of how much money they've spent, as well as where the farm system is.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to hear, like, a lot of these players that are coming back with these risks, they have this seemingly newfound appreciation for how they train and getting in tune with how they feel and what their body's telling them to do. And that to me means that the Padres are focusing not just on the well-being of the player to make sure he's ready to play for the team if called, but also just the general well-being of the person as well, because they're teaching these guys skills and lessons to be able to pick up on for things that are long after baseball's over, they could still be using it for.
So I like the move because see, the other thing too about this move, it's not like the Jose Miranda or the Ty France or they have to make the team, otherwise they might go somewhere else. This is we're building up we're getting some added depth that we know we're going to have throughout the season. And it's a chance. You're rolling the dice on a guy like this. And I don't mind moves like that for the San Diego Padres. Now, let's play the other clip. It's not like Alex Verdugo had a lot of options at this point, right? He signs middle of camp, minor league deal, minor league camp. I mean, if he had any type of major league deal, he's probably going to go there because any day in the big leagues is a good day. But why the Padres? I mean, I don't think desperation is part of the equation, but why did Alex Verdugo end up signing with the Padres?
Alex, new organization in spring training camp. How has this experience been so far?
It's been great. Obviously, a little bit different, but, just happy to be playing ball, happy to be out here with the guys and, just kind of getting back into shape and, just getting ready.
Can you walk me through the process of how the decision came to sign with the Padres, agree to a minor league deal, kind of how this offseason went?
Yeah, for me, I think a lot goes into it, but really we had a couple options, I guess, but, not too much. And I think for me, it was more of, do I want to go on the East Coast and be a minor leaguer, or do I want to stay over here and be a minor leaguer and kind of work? And so we made the deal, to come to the Padres, and, I live here. So it's very close. I got to stay at my house for the first spring training that I've actually been able to do that. So it's been really cool. And, obviously it's a great group of guys, great organization, 10 minutes from the house. So I just figured, just stay home, have some time to work and get right.
Very close. If I was Alex Verdugo, though, I'd try to sign with somebody that's relatively going to be competitive, right? I mean, I'm bet you if he had other options out there as well for if the Marlins wanted to give him a minor league deal, it's stay in Arizona. The guy's from Arizona. I think he's from Tucson originally. But the Alex Verdugo conversation is very interesting. Let's talk about the roster when we come back. March 10th, 2026. Where's the roster at, in our opinion? We'll take a look at it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's Urban Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. The San Diego State Aztecs are heading to Las Vegas as the number 2 seed in the Mountain West tournament. And honestly, they might be the most unpredictable team in the bracket. They just beat UNLV 89-86 behind a monster 30-point game from BJ Davis. The first 30-point performance by an Aztec since the 2024 NCAA tournament. And when this team's offense is rolling, they look dangerous. But earlier in the week, they lost to Boise State and got absolutely dominated on the glass, losing the rebounding battle 37-15. And that's the problem. San Diego State teams are supposed to win with defense and rebounding. If the Aztecs get back to that identity, they can absolutely win the Mountain West tournament. But if they get pushed around like they did inside against Boise State, this could be a short trip to Vegas. So the big question is simple. Which version of San Diego State shows up in March? Men's basketball, Frank. Regular season is now over for the Aztecs, and they're heading to Las Vegas as the number 2 seed, the Mountain West Basketball Tournament. They'll play Thursday at 6 against the winner of Colorado State, the 7 seed, and the number 10 seeded Fresno State men's basketball team. They closed the season and the regular season with a gritty performance, but they need to be a lot better defensively and on the boards if they want to advance the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going through that game against UNLV over the weekend, BJ Davis exploding for 30 points. The first Aztec with 30 since Jaden Ledee back in the 2024 NCAA tournament. Reese Dixon Waters, 19 points, continued to be the most consistent scorer on the team. San Diego State shooting 55% from the field. And when they shoot that well at home, they basically never lose. However, they did have a rough outing against Boise State earlier in the week.
This is a team that showed two sides, and it's a two-sided team here. Earlier in the week, they lost to Boise State 86-77, and the issues were clear. Out-rebounded 37-15, which is utterly atrocious for this Aztecs team. They gave up 86 points. The defense identity slipped. That's not typical for a program coached by Brian Dutcher, whose teams are built on defense and rebounding first. Still, they win over UNLV, and it gives them momentum entering the conference tournament. And historically, that matters. As the number 2 seed, the Aztecs are 5-1 all-time in the Mountain West tournament. And the last 2 times they were the 2 seed, they reached the championship game. They need to do more than that, though. They need to win it if they want to be playing in the NCAA tournament. The path is all right. They got Colorado State and Fresno State winner, which they're better than both of those schools. They have an opportunity to get revenge on New Mexico after what was a bad call that didn't go their way down at the pit. And then after that, they have to take on probably Utah State again. But the good thing is they haven't been swept by anybody in the Mountain West. They know how to beat these schools, and it's at a neutral floor. And so for that, the Aztecs still have a chance. But unfortunately, Frank, the women's basketball team, dominant season ended in a stunning upset yesterday.
Yeah, no, things did not go well as a story for San Diego State's women's basketball this season was dominance. They finished the regular season at 25-4, 19-1 in the Mountain West. Mountain West regular season champions. Coach Stacy Terry Hudson won Mountain West Coach of the Year, and the Aztecs stacked up many, many awards. Nala Williams winning the Mountain West Player of the Year. Caitlin Hamilton, the 6th Player of the Year. Naomi Panganaban going all Mountain West. They shot the ball extremely well, defended at elite levels, and won 21 of their 22 final regular season games. But unfortunately, Air Force, number 9 seeded Air Force, proved to be just a little too much for them.
Yeah, they beat San Diego State 83-76 in the quarterfinals. It was the conference first number 1 seed quarterfinal loss since 2015. Panganaban scored 29 points, but Air Force dominated the glass in the second half, hit 27 free throws, flipped the game late. Now San Diego State waits to see if the net ranking around 67 is strong enough to get into a postseason invite. But based on the latest bracketology, I don't think it's going to be the case. Which sets up for these one-and-done conferences. Tournaments like that end up costing them a lot of money because San Diego State women's basketball probably has the best chance of potentially advancing an NCAA tournament, and now they have no shot. And it negates everything that they accomplished in the regular season, which to me is more important than winning a couple of games in a weekend in Las Vegas. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to these conference tournaments. Let's talk about baseball. Competitive, but still inconsistent. The Aztecs sit at 9-6 this year on the season in baseball after a 12-9 loss to St. Mary's. Offense showed life. Zach Justice had 4 RBIs. Multiple players contributed hits. The Aztecs scored 9 runs, but unfortunately, what has been a massive strength for the Aztecs this year in pitching didn't hold up against St. Mary's a lot this weekend. 23 on a Tuesday in the noon lunchtime hour, brought to you by the Craft Taco. I might have to get some Craft Taco today. I need a snack for the Cathedral Scripps Ranch Beach Volleyball duel. It's a duel, Frank. I also get to watch some of my football players that play baseball at the same time. I guess baseball is playing at the same time. Here's the problem with Cathedral's setup over there, though, for beach volleyball and baseball. They're right next to each other. And they're playing beach volleyball with there's foul balls that could potentially they made the backstop like higher, but it doesn't really stop all of them. Yeah. So, I have never had to watch beach volleyball there before. I've been mostly, when I've gone to games, it's been mostly for baseball. But when your friend coaches beach volleyball, you go to support.
Of course.
Right. So now I have to be dodging the foul balls and watching beach volleyball at the same time. I am wearing my Cathedral stuff, but I am not rooting for Cathedral, obviously. Cathedral baseball? Sure. Beach volleyball? No. Not against Scripps. Go Falcons. We'll see how that goes. We'll report back later. But I'm gonna need. You know what? I didn't bring lunch to work today, so it's on the way up. It's perfect timing because timing's just like it was for practice in the fall. Hit up Craft Taco on the way up. Enjoy some beach volleyball. Enjoy some baseball. Some high school sports. Not a bad Tuesday, huh?
Might as well.
I'll have Hofstra dialed on my phone.
Attaboy.
There's a lot in Big 12 basketball. Yep. I also got to be dialed to Oklahoma State, Colorado, because, a little scouting where the Frogs play. All right, let's talk about the roster, Frank.
Let's do that.
26-man roster for the Padres. But I just want to mention, we are looking for candidates for contestants for our midday sports standoff coming up in the next segment. If you could take me down to some sports trivia, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you could take me down to sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 resort credit. March is here, and Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is the place to catch every game. High-energy watch parties with expansive screens, great food and drinks, exclusive room rates, plus the pools and day club are open. Book your stay at FontainebleauLasVegas.com now. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All right, 26-man roster for the Padres. This is how I kind of see it right now. And I don't know how much. Let me ask you this question. I don't know if you know the answer or not. I'm just asking questions, Frank. I like to ask questions. Here's a question for you. Mm-hmm. How much of the depth chart on Padres.com you believe in?
I don't believe any depth chart right now.
Because it has moved around a little bit. And I asked that question because Padres.com's got Bradley Rodriguez pretty high on the depth chart. Is that just to throw people off? Maybe. Potentially. If you look at the Padres depth chart, the rotation's got Joe Musgrove as the number 2 and Michael King as the number 3. Do you look into that at all?
No.
I'm just the guy asking questions.
I don't look into any. I mean, there are only so many things that you can look into. If you see Manny Machado at the top position of the third base depth chart, you're going, oh, that's an interesting thing. No, that's obvious. I'm not paying attention to any of the bubble guys at all.
Rotation for the depth chart for the Padres list: Nick Pivetta, Joe Musgrove, Michael King, Randy Vasquez, Germán Marquez.
That's cool.
Then J.P. Sears. Then Matt Waldron. Then Griffin Canning. Then Yu Darvish.
Right, because the other guys aren't on the roster.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about the roster. I'm just talking about the roster rotation depth chart. I'm just saying. Joe Musgrove 2, Michael King 3, maybe. J.P. Sears ranked above Matt. I find it interesting that the 3 guys that are hurt are at the bottom. Bullpen: Mason Miller, Adrian Morejon, Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada. Would that not be the back 4 guys of the bullpen? Is it not?
Yeah, but those are guys you already knew were going to be at the back 4 of the bullpen anyway.
Right. Then they go David Morgan.
Again, he's going to be there.
Wandy Peralta.
He's going to be there. He's making too much money.
Bradley Rodriguez.
Okay.
Then Yuki Matsui, who's hurt.
He's hurt.
Then Kyle Hart.
Okay, he was up and down last year.
Alec Jacob, Marinaccio, Omar Cruz, Brian Hoeing, Garrett Hawkins, Ty Adcock, Johnny Brito, who's on the IL. I'm just telling you, it's kind of lining up with where the depth chart might be. By the way, the bullpen has moved around. Bradley Rodriguez, a couple of weeks ago, was not that high on the depth chart.
I'm
just saying. I think it's an interesting conversation. First base: Gavin Sheets, Nick Castellanos, Miguel Andujar. That seems pretty on point.
You're in surprenancy mode today, aren't you?
I'm just asking questions. Is your starting second baseman Jake Cronenworth? Yes. Is the backup to second base Sungmoon Song? Yes. Manny Machado, third base starter? Yes. Sungmoon Song, backup? Yes. Xander Bogaerts, shortstop? Yes. Backup Mason McCoy? Probably. Then Jake Cronenworth. I'm just saying it lines up everywhere. So does Bragley?
Obvious.
Does that mean Bragley Rodriguez has an edge to make the bullpen this year out of camp? That's the question I'm asking before I get into my roster, because there are some decisions that need to be made for your roster. And I think the depth chart a little bit on Padres.com alludes to some of these things.
It is just as likely that the guy who updated the depth chart on the Padre website just really enjoys typing out Bradley's name as it is that he's got an edge. It's just as likely.
No, it's not. He was literally near the bottom of the depth chart when this was updated 2 weeks, when this first came into 2 weeks ago, and now he's moved up the leaderboard.
You also have guys that are now getting sent to minor league camp.
Correct.
So the roster is changing. Those are just moving around. It's just random movement of the depth chart.
Omar Cruz is still on the depth chart, and he got sent to minor league camp.
He's also on the 40-man roster.
Correct, but he's still higher than Brian Hoeing, who's hurt, Garrett Hawkins, who's out of options, Ty Adcock, that they just signed. I'm just saying, I think there's a little bit to the depth chart. I'm not saying this is exact, but I think that Bragley Rodriguez being high, something to look into. And when I put my roster together at this point, I obviously have changed some things around. I don't think Joe Musgrove is the number 2 on this deal. I think that's kind of a flip and flop on the depth chart on the Padres roster. But the 5 starters I have at this point, Pivetta, King, Musgrove, Vasquez, and I think Marquez he's played enough to keep that spot of being the last major league guy on the roster. He signed a major league contract.
Yes.
I think he's in line to make the team. Bullpen, Mason Miller, Adrian Morejon, Jeremiah Estrada, David Morgan, Wandy Peralta. I think Bragley Rodriguez makes the team now looking at this. Ron Marinaccio, Logan Gillespie. That's what I think your bullpen's going to be on opening day. Because I think Adam's going to start on the injured list. I think Yuki Matsui might start on the injured list. I think, obviously, Johnny Brito is going to be on the injured list. And I think Griffin Canning, we all know that Griffin Canning is going to start the season on the injured list. So
and they're also saying that there's a good chance that Brian Hoeing could be getting elbow surgery.
Correct. That's why I also did not list him as part of the potential guys to make the team. And with that, it opened up the extra spots. And I think it's interesting that Bragley Rodriguez is up on that list. I think Logan Gillespie has pitched well enough to make this team at this point in time. So that's how I see the pitching staff right now for opening day. Pivetta, King, Musgrove, Vasquez, Marquez. Bullpen, Miller, Morejon, Estrada, Morgan, Peralta, Rodriguez, Marinaccio, and Gillespie. And I would not be surprised if Adam, Matsui, Brito, and Canning start the season on the injured list. Well, we know Brito and Canning will. So those 2 spots by Adam and Matsui, I think, lead to Marinaccio and Gillespie potentially making the team. And I think there's a hard question about whether or not you put Kyle Hart on this team to be a long reliever, because he's looked really good in camp too. I give Bragley Rodriguez the edge just because with Jason Adam being on the injured list potentially to start the year, having that high velocity guy in the bullpen with David Morgan and some of these guys, I think is a good move. But I could see Kyle Hart potentially still battling his way for a potential spot as well. In terms of the position players, Freddie Fermin, Luis Camposano, your catchers, I don't think that has changed at all. Infielders, Bogaerts, Cronenworth, Machado, and France. Outfielder, here's the other thing too, like Andujar, Castellanos, Gavin Sheet, they're all listed as outfielders on the roster. They are. They're all technically outfielders. And since they're all getting reps in the outfield, I just left them with the outfielders. But outfielders, Miguel Andujar, Nick Castellanos, Ramon Laureano, Jackson Merrill, Gavin Sheets, Fernando Tatis Jr., Bryce Johnson, injured list, Sungwon Song. That's where I think the roster is right now. There's your 13 position players. There's your 13 pitchers. I could see, instead of Bragley Rodriguez in the bullpen, I could see Kyle Hart being in the bullpen as well. But that's how I think the roster is at this point in camp, Frank.
Yeah, I really don't see anything wrong with that. I think that is a solid roster, and I think that's more or less what you're going to see going into opening day. I have no qualms with that at all. I want to see what I'm trying to find what Marinaccio and Jacobs' numbers have been
in the WBC.
Yeah.
I think tonight's interesting because they get to go. They could potentially pitch against team. And I haven't been tracking like Italy's pitchers used in fine detail in the WBC, but I'd like to see Italy advance. Aside from the fact that it's the motherland, but also I'd like to see him advance because you'd be able to see Alec Jacob and Ron Marinaccio potentially go against some of these loaded lineups in the WBC.
Of course, they don't show WBC.
The
stats.
WBC lineups
Love
are
it.
terrible.
Thank you.
I'm not forgetting about Buehler. I don't think he has pitched better than Armand Marquez to overcome the fact that they gave Armand Marquez a major league deal. Because I don't think he's at that level yet. Now, Buehler's pitching today at 1:00. I'd like to see another build off of what he did in his last outing. And I think he has earned I think he's in a spot where he can earn the spot. But when I made the comments about Walker Buehler before, we hadn't seen Armand Marquez pitch. Armand Marquez looked good on Friday. And he's already got that edge because he signed a major league contract and he's owed $7 million, whatever it may be. That's significant.
Alec Jacob.
I don't think he's making the team anyway, but
Alex Jacob has thrown an inning and a third, 3 strikeouts. There's not
Good
a
for
lot
him.
of hit. He's 1-0. Marinaccio has pitched 2/3 of an inning and has struck out both guys he faced.
I think Alec Jacob has options, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's one of the guys that has to make the team where Ron Marinaccio is. That's why I give Marinaccio a little bit of the edge. I do agree with Ron Johnson in the chat. If Joe Musgrove starts the year in the IL, Buehler and Marquez are both on this team.
I would have to assume, yes. And then it will be not only when Joe gets back, but it'll also be when Griffin Canning is ready and available.
That's the other factor that's very interesting is the Griffin Canning effect because...
And again, a reminder, it was an Achilles injury. So Canning can pitch now. He can get into regular season form now. He just can't run. He can't be trusted to run to cover first base right now, which is why he's doing a lot of agility workouts. But he's
in the same boat as Jason Adam right now.
Their arms are
fielding
ready.
His position and doing things defensively that you have to do as a pitcher. But as Frank mentioned, the arm and his leg is ready for pitching too. Like he could, plant and all that stuff. I mean, that all of the pitching mechanics are in line for both Jason Adam, it seems like, and for Griffin Canning. It's the fielding the position thing. That's a conversation that we got to have later when Griffin Canning's ready to come back, because the interesting thing, the interesting question for me on this is if Armand Marquez and Walker Buehler both start off great and then Griffin Canning comes back, that's when the real decision has to be made. But you know what? What did we say not too long ago that we've said multiple times? These things kind of tend to work their way out. So we'll see what happens moving forward. When we come back, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Join us for the Midday Sports Standoff. If you could take me down in sports trivia, you would qualify for a new monthly prize. Get a trip to Vegas, maybe to go to Fontainebleau. We'll talk about it and play the game when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Right now, the most chaotic division in the NHL isn't the East, it's the Pacific. Anaheim Ducks are currently sitting in first place, which nobody expected at the start of the season. But right behind them are the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, the Seattle Kraken, and the San Jose Sharks, all separated by just a few points with about 20 games left in the season. And here's the crazy part, though. The Ducks might actually have the easiest path to win the division. They only have 5 games left against playoff teams. And while Vegas and Edmonton still have brutal schedules filled with contenders like Colorado and Dallas, the question now becomes, can Anaheim hold on and win the Pacific, or do the Oilers and Golden Knights eventually take control when the pressure ramps up? Because in this division, someone's season is about to collapse and someone else might be about to shock the NHL. The stretch run is here. We're officially entering the final stretch of the NHL season with roughly 20 games left for most teams, and the playoff picture is getting wild, especially out west, as the Anaheim Ducks, Frank, currently sit first in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, old Ben Afquack over there has been having a time as the Ducks currently sitting first place in that Pacific Division, which might be the most surprising storyline in the NHL, as you said. Behind them is just absolute chaos in their wake. The Vegas Golden Knights, Edmonton Oilers, Seattle Kraken, and San Jose Sharks are all jammed within a handful of points, battling for playoff positioning. And Sunday night gave us a massive one. The Oilers and the Golden Knights, a true 4-point swing game in the standings in the Pacific.
The Pacific Division might decide the West. Fascinating part of this race is the schedule. Anaheim actually has the easiest road remaining, and they have 19 games left and only 5 against current playoff teams. Meanwhile, Vegas and Edmonton still have to grind through schedules filled with contenders like Colorado, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. So while the Ducks leading the division might feel like a surprise, the numbers say they might actually have the inside track. And if Anaheim holds on, that's one of the biggest turnaround stories in the NHL this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked on the show last week with Ryan Poling signing his contract. If the Trevor Zegras trade is starting to pay off for Anaheim right now, and it's looking like it is, bless you, they are way ahead of schedule compared to what we were expecting.
Trade deadline fallout, the winners and the losers. The NHL trade deadline did have a strange rhythm this year. Lots of deals leading up to it, quiet on deadline day itself, and then chaos right before the buzzer. Some teams walked away much better. Some teams might not have gotten the value that they were hoping for going into the deadline.
Yeah, the Colorado Avalanche might have had the best deadline. They already had Nathan McKinnon playing at an MVP level, and now they add center depth. Might be the best in the league now as they add Nazem Kadri and Nicholas Waugh. That lineup suddenly looks terrifying come playoff time. Meanwhile, the Ducks made one of the more stunning moves, acquiring longtime Capitals defenseman John Carlson, giving up their young roster a veteran Stanley Cup presence for this playoff push. Also, the New York Islanders trading away Jonathan Drouin, who they signed at the beginning of this season, to pick up the captain for the St. Louis Blues, Braden Shen. So that was another big move that was made over the course of the trade deadline.
But not every team nailed the trade deadline in the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers might have wasted a golden opportunity. They still have Connor McDavid, arguably the best player on the planet in his prime, and yet the biggest issue on the roster, goaltending, wasn't really solved. That's a risky gamble when your championship window is tied to McDavid's contract timeline. And
that was after a trade at the beginning of the season where both Pittsburgh and Edmonton swapped their goaltenders. So they tried to address it earlier this year with Tristan Jarry. Has not worked out, and I see why they stood still. You don't want to admit failure on 2 different goaltenders this year and make trades twice. But also, it's kind of an important thing, especially when you've lost in the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years.
Over in the East, Tampa Bay Lightning and Buffalo Sabres are battling for control of the Atlantic Division, while teams like Detroit and Boston are fighting for wild card spots. And keep an eye on the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are holding a playoff spot despite dealing with injuries, including missing star Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah, Evgeny Malkin actually got suspended for a high slash. So he's not out with injury. He is out based on rule of the NHL. So the East may not be as chaotic. The Metropolitan and the Atlantic may not be as chaotic as the Pacific, but the wild card races are still wide open in both the Eastern and Western conferences.
Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios, we know how. I want to mention that all of our guests join us on the STCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We need to get to today's midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We have Charles in Ramona playing today. Charles, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good, good. All right. So we are getting closer and closer, a couple days away from the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic beginning for 2026. The question today is, who are the 8 teams that made the quarterfinals in 2023? Charles, you have the first guess.
I'm going to say the Dominican Republic.
That's a very good guess, but no, the Dominican Republic did not make it out of pool play last year, or the last WBC.
Oh, last year.
Oh, no, 2023 was the last year they did this.
What? Okay, so what's the?
Who were the teams that made the quarterfinals in the World Baseball Classic in 2023?
Oh, Team USA.
Team USA did make the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic in 2023.
So we're looking for
Charles?
8. That's 8 teams, right?
Yes, 8.
Okay.
Charles?
Japan.
Japan, yes. So you got the 2 teams that made the finals out of this. Braden?
I think Venezuela made it.
Venezuela did, in fact, make it. Charles?
Who did he just say?
He just said Venezuela.
He said Mexico.
Mexico did make it to the quarterfinals.
Okay, so Mexico, Venezuela, Japan, USA. I want to say, they had. I don't know if it's enough of a risk to deal. What about? No, I don't think they made it either. I feel like Colombia did well, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you are wrong. Colombia did not make it to the quarterfinals of the 2023 World Baseball Classic.
How about another C, Cuba?
Cuba did make it to the quarterfinals, Braden.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico did make it. We have 2 left here. So, Charles, if you get this one right, you can guarantee yourself a tie.
Oh God. I'm just good. Australia? Just naming countries I can think of off the top of my head.
Australia did make the quarterfinal.
Nice.
Last time out. So, Charles, you got yourself a tie, which means you are qualified for the chance to win. To win the trip to Vegas. Braden, want to round this off?
Yes, I'm gonna go with the motherland, the Italians.
Yes, Italy did make it. So, Charles, hang on the line. I'll get your information here in just a second. But yes, the 8 teams that played, Australia played Cuba, the U.S. played Venezuela, Puerto Rico played Mexico, and Japan drew Italy. Those are the 8 teams that made it to the quarterfinals of the 2023 World Baseball Classic.
Right now, with the stand. We've already seen 4 teams clinch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Has anybody else clinched? No.
Not that I am aware of. No.
Yes. Puerto
the
Rico
US
clinched.
The U.S. I believe the U.S. is clinched already. They're 3-0. Oh, no, they're not. Because if Italy
Beats the United States.
and then if Mexico beats Italy, then
there's
it's a three-way tie. Yeah.
Correct. And then it goes to run differential and everything like that. So, yes. There's that. So right now, Puerto Rico has advanced in Pool A. They're 3-0. They beat Cuba yesterday. Japan and Korea have both advanced in Pool C. Pool C is done, by the way, because Japan beat Czechia.
Yeah.
So that is no longer. They're all done.
By the way, what a moment!
By
the way, what a moment for that Czech starter who threw 4 2/3 innings today, got a standing ovation on the way off the field, and then got a curtain call at the end of that game in Tokyo. That is a guy who is an electrician, I believe I saw, as his day job, threw 4 2/3 innings in the Tokyo Dome against Japan, scoreless, by the way, and got a standing ovation and a curtain call after the game. Incredible for him.
Incredible. Super cool. A great moment. And that's what's fun about the World Baseball Classic, right? Like opportunities like that. So really cool moment for him. And the other thing with the WBC I was getting to is, I thought that was cool. But they're going to have to come back. They're going to have to qualify their way back in and everything like that. But the game is growing. Yep. It's great to see. It's WBC does. So Pool A, Puerto Rico is advanced. Japan and Korea have both advanced in Pool C. Venezuela and the Dominican have advanced in Pool D. They're going to play for the number 1 or number 2 spot when they play each other. And then in Pool B, nobody has advanced yet, although Brazil has been eliminated. And I would imagine Great Britain Great Britain has also been eliminated. So those guys are out of contention. As for Pool A, Cuba and Canada are battling it out for that final spot in Pool A. In terms of games today in the WBC, Canada is playing Puerto Rico. I think with a Puerto Rico win over Canada, that should knock them out, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I have to look at the standings, everything like that. Team USA with a win could definitely clinch a spot into the next round. They play Italy tonight at 6:00, so that's going to be a big game for Team USA and for Italy, for that matter. I mean, Italy could do the exact same thing with a win,
yes,
and guarantee themselves a spot into the next round. So huge game in Houston tonight with that. Israel and the Netherlands are playing today at 4:00. I'm pretty sure that game does not mean anything because they've been
Israel and the Netherlands, Canada, Puerto Rico are both 4:00 starts. Israel and Netherlands will be on the Fox Sports app. Canada, Puerto Rico will be on Tubi, and then the U.S., Italy will be on FS1.
Yeah, that's so that game for Israel and Netherlands is meaningless. Those games are over in terms of the overall bracket play. Japan already beat Czechia today 9-0 earlier this morning for us on the West Coast. Italy and USA is a big game today at 6. And then Canada and Puerto Rico mean a lot, obviously, for the standings. If Canada loses to Puerto Rico, I don't necessarily know if they're out or not yet because they're only 1-1. They'd be 1-2, and they'd be behind Cuba. And I still think they get to play Cuba.
Yes, they do. They play Cuba tomorrow.
So probably not win or go home for Canada tonight. But, head to head, if they lose to Puerto Rico today, then tomorrow's definitely for an advance into the next round. I think that game's the win or go home tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, this is the last game of pool play for the U.S. Tomorrow's games are going to be Canada, Cuba, Italy, Mexico, and then the Dominican Republic versus Venezuela. Noon start, 4 p.m. start, 5 p.m. start. Canada, Cuba's on FS2. Italy, Mexico, I'm surprised, has not gotten bumped to television with what's on the line there. They're on Tubi. Dominican Venezuela is going to be on FS1.
Should be fun to watch tonight. WBC action. Padres baseball we got coming up in just a little bit on 1 o'clock. We'll keep you updated on what Walker Buehler is doing. It's a Ferris Bueller's day off over there in Tempe. I'll explain when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings over at Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 1 o'clock on a Tuesday here in America's finest city. So I'm starting to peek through some of the clouds here in Serra Mesa. We are going to get to the biggest fan here in just a second, but do want to mention that we are broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. Did you take care of Charles there?
Yes.
Totally
Charles
forgot.
is ready to go.
One of the Tuesdays. We do need to get to today's biggest fan. We are broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. In this hour, we'll keep you updated on the Padres game. We will also be diving into some San Diego FC talk here in just a little bit in the next segment or so. And USD has a brand new basketball coach. We'll talk about that in this hour as well. But before we go any further, it's time to congratulate today's biggest fan, Riley Wagstaff. Riley Wagstaff in San Diego. Give us a call in the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 97.3, thefansd.com/biggest fan. Riley Wagstaff. You got 10 minutes. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. They still get mad at you for the name generator, but you know what? Frank is getting the praise for his questions. You love to see it, Frank, don't you? Don't you love to see it?
Yeah, it is nice.
It's nice to see. 100%.
Missed a bit, though.
Huh?
Missed a bit, though.
Yeah. Do we, though?
No,
it's
we
fun
don't.
for a little bit.
We don't miss the bit.
No, we
do
don't
not miss the bit.
Frank definitely does not miss the bit. I'll tell you that much. All right, so let's talk about today's Padres game a little bit. This is a very big outing for Walker Buehler, just like every outing for him in spring training is a big outing. He's coming off of what was a decent outing in his last time out on Thursday of last week. And he will be going against Ferris. Mitch Ferris. Today is the Ferris Bueller Day. How about that? How about that? We finally got it. Baseball is the gift that keeps on giving.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him. Ferris Bueller. It's the Ferris Bueller game.
No, it's the Bueller-Ferris game. If they were in Peoria, it'd be the Ferris Bueller game.
Well, Ferris is pitching first, so.
That is also true.
You could say Ferris Bueller.
That is true. Yeah.
Here's the downside of
right.
this, though. Since pitchers don't hit, and they never really, I don't think, did they ever hit in spring training? I don't think they ever hit in spring training. Maybe near the end of the spring training, they used to let the hitters bat. The pitchers hit, sorry. But on like MLB.com, when they do the game day stuff, right, it says Ferris, the pitcher, and then it has the hitter. So it's Ferris Bowen. We can't have Bueller get in the box one time just for it to say Ferris Bueller.
I'm sure somebody with Photoshop will be on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%. All right. Bounce back. Not really a bounce back. This is the improvement on the first outing for Walker Buehler today. I'm excited to watch him pitch. He's going to have to wait a little bit. Here's the lineup today for the San Diego Padres. It will be led off. The game will be led off for the Padres by Jace Bowen. He will get things started. Bryce Johnson bats second, plays in as the DH. Miguel Andujar batting third, playing first. Freddie Fermin's batting fourth and catching. Nick Solak plays left field and bats fifth. Jose Miranda will bat sixth and play third base. Pablo Reyes will play second today and bat seventh. Mason McCoy bats eighth and plays shortstop. And Samad Taylor will bat ninth and play center field for the Padres. I don't find it, and maybe it is the case, but I don't find this game to be a game where Walker Buehler is going to have a long period of time on the bench because the Padres have racked up like 1,500 runs. Maybe a little bit more of a natural outing today for Walker Buehler. against the Los Angeles Angels. Neto's going to play shortstop and lead off. Mike Trout's in the lineup today. Shanuel plays first base. Jorge Soler's the DH. Joe Adell's playing left field. Logan O'Hoppe is the catcher. Yammer Candelario plays third. Taylor's in right. Madrigal is at second for Ferris and the Angels today in Tempe. I want to see Walker Buehler. I want to see his fastball go up a little bit from last game. That would be nice. I don't know if that's going to be the case every time, but he was sitting in the low 90s. It would be nice to see Walker Buehler's fastball up a little bit. His induced vertical break was really high during his last outing, which is good. It gives that perception of the fastball rising on a lot of guys. But overall today, Frank, I'd like to see Walker Buehler really settle in. And I think he needs to because of the way Germán Marquez pitched last Friday. So Walker Buehler today, kind of in a big spot for the San Diego Padres in terms of trying to make this team. It's a good problem to have. I do want to get into some San Diego FC today. We didn't get to a lot of San Diego FC over the weekend. That happened over the weekend, but they held on against Sporting Kansas City that gave them everything they had. And I know Sporting Kansas City is not one of the teams near the top of the leaderboard in the MLS, but another clean slate for the goalkeeping for San Diego FC and the local product in Duran Ferri. I mean, this kid's been unbelievable for San Diego FC. Absolutely unbelievable. So you look at what happened over the weekend, and we've had our updates for you on YouTube. We're posting that on YouTube as well, kind of a deeper dive into San Diego FC and what they have done so far this year. But Anders Dreyer continued to be the star of the weekend, scored the game's only goal in the 39th minute. His assist came from Ani Valikari. Clever setup. Dreyer finished into the top left corner, giving San Diego FC all they needed in a 1-0 win over Sporting Kansas City. And Dreyer obviously is emerging as that centerpiece for San Diego FC early in the season. But, you know, San Diego FC found him last year as a go-to scorer. And something that expansion teams awful struggle with is trying to find that score early for their club. San Diego FC found it last year, and they're building off of it here in 2026.
No, they absolutely are. And not only that, the defense is held incredibly strong. I saw a graphic put up by the MLS last night that San Diego FC is tied with the best goal differential through 3 matches to start the season at 8+8. They're the only one. They're tied with 4 teams. They're the only tied with 3 other teams. Sorry. They are the only ones that have not conceded a goal in that amount of time. So it's not just the impressive offense that San Diego FC has had this year. It's been the unbelievable defending that they have had, as well as the goaltending from their third string goaltender.
Yeah, third string goalkeeper for San Diego FC. I mean, he's been unbelievable. But, you know, the way that San Diego FC has been playing, you know, they've dominated games statistically. I mean, they outshot Kansas City 15-6 over the weekend. They controlled 61.7% of the possession. They've dictated the tempo for most of the match, and they're controlling all of these MLS games. It's different than the games they had against Pumas, and we'll see how they do against Toluca tomorrow, because they got a game against Toluca tomorrow at Snapdragon Stadium. But the way that they're playing, they're winning in a lot of different ways to start the season. And that's good for any team in any sport to be able to be more than, to be multidimensional when it comes to your offensive attack, your defense, and everything in between. You got to love the way that this team is playing soccer here early in the season, because it's a lot of different things for San Diego FC in leading to their success.
And they get another test of that tomorrow when they play Toluca, as far as part of the Champions Cup. I believe I said on the update, was it 5 games in 16 days? So they are going to be playing a lot of games here in very short order. So for San Diego FC, they're getting into the real test zone right now.
Yeah, this is a stretch for San Diego FC that is it's going to be a real big, and Frank mentioned tester. That's exactly what this part of the season is for them, because you have a portion of this season right now where you got to use a 19-year-old goalkeeper because CJ Dos Santos is still recovering from his surgery and Pablo Cisniega is suspended from the red card. And this breakout young goalkeeper is going to have to go against some pretty important teams here in the near future. But also, San Diego FC is on a pretty huge stretch where they got Toluca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup tomorrow, and then they got to be ready for FC Dallas on Saturday. And this is the real first stress test for the roster depth for this team here in the MLS.
Yeah, and I believe that game against Dallas is at home, yes?
I think so.
So, I mean, at least they don't have to worry about traveling. They will have to worry about it next week.
They're on the road.
Oh, they are on the road against Dallas.
Correct. They're on the road against Dallas, and then they got to go to Toluca. So it's San Diego FC hosting Toluca tomorrow at 8:30.
That's a lot of travel to go from the Midwest back home for a midweek match.
Then they go to Texas,
and then down to Mexico.
And then they're going down to Mexico. So it's here tomorrow. It's in Dallas on Saturday. It's Toluca on Wednesday, and then they get to host Real Salt Lake before going to San Jose. And that's all within that's 5 games before April 4th.
Yeah. That's a lot. That
Early
is
in the
lot
season.
Of games.
So hopefully you can survive. It's kind of like a survival mode for San Diego FC. When we come back, we'll update you on what's going on in the Padre game. Walker Buehler getting his second start in a Padres uniform in a stadium game, if you will. We also will talk a little bit about USD, getting a brand new head coach in basketball. We'll tell you what it means for USD basketball as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan. One of the best finishes of the season happened this week for the UC San Diego Tritons. Tritons went on the road to face UC Santa Barbara in the regular season finale, and it came down to the final seconds of the game. UC Santa Barbara actually took the lead with just 7 seconds left, but UCSD didn't panic. Tom Beattie pushed the ball up the floor, dribbled through pressure, and found freshman Jaden Vance cutting to the basket. Vance went up, layup with less than 1 second left, ball game. Tritons win 64-63. UCSD finished the regular season 22-10 overall and 12-8 in Big West play, earning the number 5 seed in the conference tournament. And if this finish is any indication, the Tritons might be one of the most dangerous teams heading into the Big West tournament. Let's talk about it, Frank. Tritons closed the regular season out in what was such a thrilling finish to the season, getting the game-winning bucket on the road with less than a second to go.
Fun game to watch from up at Phoenix Raceway. USD defeating UC Santa Barbara 64-63 on a last-second layup from freshman Jaden Vance. Vance scored the game winner with less than a second left. Triton scoring forced 17 turnovers and had 16 steals, a season high for them. Bold Dengdit led the team with 15 points, while Tom Beattie added 14. Hudson Mays also scored 12. UCSD finishing 22-10 overall and 12-8 in the Big West, which put them in a tie for third.
On to women's basketball. And women's basketball have had a really good season, a very historic season. Triton women are making program history right now. Defeated UCSB 72-65 to secure a share of the Big West regular season title. Team finished 22-8 overall and 17-3 in conference play. UCSD will be the number 2 seed in the Big West tournament with a double bye to the semifinals.
Yep. Michaela Rose, 25 points in the title clinching win. Lev Feeman, 16 points on 8 of 10 shooting. Aaron Condren, 12 points, 8 boards. Dominic Maxey set UC San Diego Division I assist record at 136. as a program record. Aaron Condren setting the rebound record at 255, and Michaela Rose broke the single-season steals record with 92 swipes over the course of this season.
On to baseball. Very tough road series for UCSD and Eric Newman's club. Tritons lost the series opener 9-5 to Cincinnati. They dropped a Friday doubleheader 16-1 and 13-3. UCSD is now 4-9 overall on the season, but they did have some bright spots.
Yeah, Gabe Camacho going 4 for 5 with a home run and 2 doubles in the doubleheader. He drove in all 4 of the Triton runs that day. He now has 5 homers, third most in the Big West, and now they finished up that series and will be returning home this week.
On to softball, where they had an early conference challenge. UCSD softball began Big West play against the defending champions, and they dropped the 2 games to UC Santa Barbara. They lost 9-2 in game 1, 8-4 in game 2 of a doubleheader. UCSD recorded 15 hits in game 2, matching a season high, but still had some pretty good performers this weekend.
Malia Cherry hit a home run and now leads the Big West with 6 home runs. Haley Garcia, 3 RBIs in game number 2 of that doubleheader against the Gauchos.
Overall for the Tritons, again, this is a program and a school that is still building up from being a Division II program not too long ago. They have done some really good things already. Future is still bright, but you go back to the men's basketball team, just a thrilling way to end. And the Big West tournament, as we take a deeper dive into the Big West tournament, there are a lot of teams that are going to be a tough out in Las Vegas themselves. Irvine ends up winning the conference. Hawaii had a chance to take a share of the title. They choked it up at home late on Saturday to give the Anteaters the number 1 seed, not only the number 1 seed, but an outright championship on their own. But that top half of the Big West is very scary, and any of these teams can win.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking into UCSD's tournament, they're going to be facing Cal Poly on Wednesday in Henderson. So a nice little test for UC San Diego to get their tournament started.
Should be a fun one this week, and we're going to have UCSD men's and women's basketball live on 97.3 The Fan during the Big West tournament. Be sure to stay tuned for more Tritons updates next week. Hang on. Bottom of the first inning for the Padres. Get to see Walker Buehler out there in action again today. Padres in the top half of the first went down 1-2-3. A fly out by Jace Bowen, a strikeout by Bryce Johnson, and a strikeout by Miguel Andujar. Johnson and Andujar both struck out looking. First batter that Walker Buehler sees, he hits Zach Neto. Not first pitch, but that was in the 6th pitch of the at-bat. Fastball at 91. He's throwing a ton of sliders so far. He went fastball, slider, changeup, sinker to Neto, and he hits Neto by a pitch. And then he gets Mike Trout to ground out into a force-out first pitch swinging Mike Trout, 92-mile-an-hour sinker. And Buehler's recorded the 1 out here in the first, and you were caught up on the Padre game today. So just going to kind of track how he's doing. Again, throwing cutters, fastball on a ball, 88.1. So fastball is not very high right now for Walker Buehler, but he is mixing in a lot of pitches. We'll keep you updated on how he does today in Tempe as Shanuel flies out to left field. Now 2 away for the Angels in the bottom of the first. I just, with the way that Walker Buehler's been pitching, and we've only seen him in 1 game so far, and he looked okay. Just it's kind of tough when you have the conversation between Buehler and Marquez. Marquez was hitting 96 on the fastball. He was throwing some fuzz as a starting pitcher as he comes back from injury from a year ago, and he has that major league contract, Frank. I think it's going to be hard for Walker Buehler to outdo Armand Marquez unless Armand Marquez just really doesn't have enough, some good starts here in spring.
It depends. It depends on what Walker Buehler does here, I think. And you mentioned a very good point at the beginning of the show where after guys who have been working out and trying out for the team, we saw it with German Marquez, we saw it with Tristan McKenzie, we saw it with Gonzalez. Their second outing was really where they turned it around. So if Bueller has a good outing here, I would say he's kind of fit in. But if he has a very similar outing to what he had in game one, granted, again, he did sit for quite a long time in the second inning there. But if he has another similar outing, he might be on the back foot with 2 weeks of spring training left.
Yeah, I find it, we got a comment. If Bueller can't stay 92 plus, I'm out on him. I think you kind of have to be, right? I mean, that's kind of a major part of like his game. I mean, I know he wants to adjust his fastball a little bit, but overall, Frank, I mean, and I know it's not the end all be all in terms of like what he can do for this team, but you got to, I mean, in this day and age, I feel like you kind of have to throw a little bit harder than 92 at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah, you absolutely do. So that's also not helping Walker. It could also be a chance where it could also be a thing where you don't know if Walker Buehler's throwing that pitch at 100%. You don't know if he's really trying to whip that fastball or if he's more focused on trying to get spin, if he's trying to like lock in an arm angle that he can consistently hit. There are a number of things that he could be working on and just not firing the fastball the way he can.
We don't know what he's working on.
Exactly.
We don't know about that. We don't know what the Padres are trying to see out of him potentially. But again, it's like, yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, as long as the guy gets outs, right? Isn't that what you really, really care about to a certain extent? I mean, I think the metrics help for a lot of people too. And, I had this conversation over the weekend, about, what teams are looking for when it comes to a lot of these, pitchers and like, who cares about the analytics if the guys are getting, players out? I think the analytics kind of help with, can some of these results sustain for a long period of time? But as of right now, like if it's a toss up between German Marquez and Walker Buehler, I kind of want to go with German Marquez, who throws a little bit harder than a crafty right-hander right now in Walker Buehler. That would be my and who knows? Who knows what the Padres think they can get out of some of these guys? So Walker Buehler gets out of the first inning. He gets Joe Adell to ground out after he gave up a single to Soler. Again, haven't seen a lot of four-seam fastballs today. Seen a lot of sweepers, a lot of sinkers, throwing the knuckle curve, the cutter. A lot of those pitches were his better pitches in the last inning. Remember we had the full breakdown of Walker Buehler? His best pitches were his breaking ball stuff. Hasn't thrown a lot of fastballs today. Interesting. We'll see how that develops over the course of the rest of the afternoon for this contest. So let's talk about USD. I got a hire yesterday. They hired a new basketball coach, and things could be like looking up big time for USD Athletics in terms of their basketball program, because this is a big hiring for Kim Yamasi, who had the same kind of situation for women's basketball, going away with a veteran coach and going with somebody young and up and coming, an assistant, that for USD or for a big time assistant growing into the women's basketball realm, and Blanche Alverson, first year for her, probably not the results she wanted, but you could see the foundation being set. Now they have hired J.R. Blunt. And J.R. Blunt is a guy that has some pretty good credentials for a young coach. Kim Yamasi moved quickly after firing Steve Lavin on February 18th, and the search concluded in less than 3 weeks with the hire announced yesterday. J.R. Blunt becomes the next head coach of the USD men's basketball team, and he's going to finish the season with Iowa State before officially taking over, and Iowa State will play tomorrow in the Big 12 tournaments. They are going to be a high seed in the NCAA tournament. So for any USD people out there that want to watch Iowa State throughout the NCAA tournament to see what they're getting out of an assistant coach. But, Kimya wanted a quick and aggressive search, and he got it. He executed it before most programs even begin their hiring process. And here's the resume about J.R. Blunt. He's 38 years old. He's been an assistant at Iowa State since 2021 under TJ Otzelberger. Cyclones, during the time that he has been there, have been 120-51. They have made 2 Sweet 16 appearances. recent seasons have been 29 wins, 25 wins, and 25 wins so far this year. And the key responsibilities for Blunt at Iowa State, he ran the defense and ball screen coverage system, critical tactical area in modern basketball. The defensive performance at Iowa State, top 5 nationally in defensive efficiency every year, number 1 defense in the country in 2023 and 2024. So USD betting on a defensive culture change, which matches what they're doing down the street at San Diego State, Frank. The defense travels everywhere they go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great sign when you get the guy that you want, an assistant coach from a Big Four program. And then also, I was working on this. I don't know if you mentioned it, but the amount of money that they are looking to commit to the program this year, that's a large that is a large sandbox to play in if you're a brand new coach here. So this is big, and it's also good for them to try to get out in front a little bit of UC San Diego with the Tritons going into the West Coast Conference next year.
Yeah, following year. So they'll have another 2027 will be the first year of UCSD. Now, the biggest problem he must fix is the defense. So you might as well bring in a guy that's very, very much that's great on the defensive side. Under Steve Lavin, the Toreros struggled badly defensively. I mean, their defensive efficiency rankings 344 in the country, 204 in the country, 256 in the country, 254 in the country. 2 seasons in the bottom 10 nationally in defending the 3-point line. They need a complete identity reset over there in Linda Vista, and Blunt's defensive background directly targets a massive weakness. Now, according to this report by Mark Ziegler in the San Diego Union Tribune, Massey targeted 2 main candidate pools. He had experienced regional coaches and high major assistants. So they looked at Randy. It says Andy Newman at Cal State Northridge, according to this report. Rick Croy at Cal Baptist. They went through a lot of the high major assistants at Kansas, Duke, Florida, Michigan, Iowa State, and the final choice was a rising power conference assistant with tactical experience. And USD also prioritized ceiling and modern coaching philosophy over local familiarity, which I like for what USD is doing. Now, here's the career path for J.R. Blunt. Played at Loyola Chicago, played for the Ramblers men's basketball team. He averaged 13.5 points per game, 3-time team captain. He was a graduate assistant at Wisconsin Stevens Point. The Pointers won the 2010 Division III national championship. His assistant stop went to St. Leo, then went to the Drake Bulldogs men's basketball team, went to Colorado State, and then Iowa State. I mean, he's climbed the coaching ladder through multiple levels of college basketball. And then now the challenge ahead for USD, that program reality, right? No NCAA tournament for the Toreros since 2008. Only 1 winning season in 7 years. Lavin's record, 47-84, and program instability. 5th head coach in 13 years. 8th coach since moving to Division I in 1979. The administration is promising, though, more financial support through NIL and program investment. And you look at the key takeaways here of this particular hire. You brought in a young coach who, by the way, had one of the best recruiting classes at Colorado State when he was at Colorado State as an assistant. He's very much involved with the recruiting when he was at Colorado State and Iowa State. He inherits a major rebuild with potentially more resources than past coaches had. You saw the number figures, Frank. I mean, $2 to $4 million on a roster is significant for a school like USD. It's even more significant knowing the fact that it was reported that San Diego State's roster has $2.7 million invested in it. You take a team like USD and the facilities that they now have with their new basketball complex that they built. They spent $44 million on a new basketball complex that's state-of-the-art. With all the coaches that they have produced at the NBA level, you now bring in a young up-and-coming coach at age 38, and then you give him $2 to $4 million in a roster for a conference that now no longer has Gonzaga. That is everything you need to get this program up and running, and they can do it quickly with the transfer portal and money. They can flip that thing around real quick over in Linda Vista.
Yeah, they're looking to be the most aggressive at trying to fill that void that's being left by Gonzaga leaving to go to the Pac-12. So that is huge for them to be able to get this jump start. And I do firmly believe that I think that UC San Diego coming into the conference is a big step in that. It is a big driver in this. Of course, if you're playing with two teams in the same city, you want to be the number one team out of the two. And UC San Diego has had a lot of success here recently, and you don't want to fall behind the newcomer, not only to the conference, but the newcomer to Division I basketball as well. So I do believe that, yes, you want to try to jump in the West Coast Conference as much as you possibly can, especially now that Gonzaga is going to leave a big void at the top. But I also believe that there's a lot of influence coming from La Jolla as well.
Yeah, I think and it all starts with San Diego State being one of the best basketball programs in the country for the last 20 something years, right? I mean, they have really set the bar high for everybody else here in town. And now that you're going to have the competition between two schools in the same conference, it's going to be, we talked about, San Diego State. Do you think they're going to stay at 2.7 million, knowing that the private school down the street is going to start to pay $2 to $4 million on a roster? And now for UCSD, you're going to have to raise the bar a little bit more on your roster because you're going to compete with San Diego State and USD are different because they're not going to be in the same conference, right? And unless you play them in the non-con, which at this point doesn't make a lot of sense for San Diego State because it doesn't help you in the RPI. All it does is really benefit USD. You don't have to worry about it as much. But for UCSD, who's going to be joining the conference, the West Coast Conference in 2027, you can't be joining the conference and then be down $2 million in terms of a roster. It's hard to compete. That's why San Diego State needs to raise the bar just to catch Gonzaga in general. I don't think they're obviously not worried about USD, but this is pushing everybody else in town to continue to drive that college basketball atmosphere and rosters, which I think is great for us, especially since we don't have an NBA team. No NBA team here, but maybe you could get 3 elite college basketball programs in the long run. That would be ideal for this town.
Yeah, that would be huge, especially. And it'd be interesting to see which one of these universities, whether it be UC San Diego or San Diego State, that doesn't take this threat seriously and finds themselves on the back foot trying to catch up in popularity with USD. It'd be very, very interesting to see which one rests on their morals. Is it San Diego State saying, hey, listen, we were just in the national championship a couple of years ago. It's fine. They're in the West Coast Conference, a conference that doesn't matter. Or is it going to be UC San Diego saying, hey, listen, we're good enough. We've made the jump to Division I. We've already gotten to a national championship. And USD isn't all that great. So we may not be able to run the conference, but we could definitely run the city. So I think that's also another interesting thing that you could watch out for here with this.
Yeah, and to clarify, the national, you say UCSD, the national championship bracket tournament.
Yes,
right?
yes. Tournament. Yeah, made it to the tournament. Yes.
Made it to the NCAA tournament. So when we come back, we got an update for you on the Padres game. They're up 2-0 on the Angels. How did it happen? How was Walker Buehler doing? We'll let you know about that. Plus, as we continue here in the final segment, we're going to dive deeper into the WBC a little bit and kind of refresh what we've been talking about with the Padres roster. A lot to get to still on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. If you want the biggest story in University of San Diego athletics right now, it's not actually the season ending, it's the future. Torero's men's basketball team just wrapped up its year with a heartbreaking 58-56 loss to Seattle in the West Coast Conference tournament, where USD had a shot to win it at the buzzer, but the three-pointer hit from the front of the rim. And the real headline, though, it's the program's reset. Athletic director Kimya Massey moved quickly and hired Iowa State assistant J.R. Blunt, one of the fastest rising defensive minds in college basketball, as the new head coach. And this move comes with serious backing. Reports say that the University of San Diego is building a $2 to $4 million war chest NIL pool to support the roster and compete in the West Coast Conference. So even though the Toreros finished 12-21 this season, the expectation moving forward is very different. The question now becomes, can this new investment and coaching hire turn USD into a real contender in the West Coast Conference, or will programs like St. Mary's continue to dominate the conference in the future? Let's start with men's basketball. Frank, the Toreros season comes down to a heartbreaking loss to Seattle after they won the first game of the WCC men's basketball tournament. They had a chance to win at the buzzer. Forward Vuk Boskovic launched a go-ahead three, but it hit the front of the rim as time expired. Boskovic led the team with 14 points, while Gavin Ripp continued his late-season surge with another double-digit game. Tenari Lane played all 40 minutes for the second straight night. The loss capped the season where USD finished 12-21, but there was still noticeable progress, and the Toreros doubled both their overall wins and conference wins from a season ago. It's the end of the Lavin era, and now new beginnings with a new head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. They also opened the West Coast Conference tournament with a big 66-62 win over LMU, who destroyed them twice during the season, snapping a 6-game losing streak against LMU. Bigger story surrounding USD basketball right now isn't the season's end, but what comes next. As you mentioned, Steve Lavin out, and now J.R. Blunt looking like he is going to be taking over as the new head basketball coach for the Toreros.
Yeah, he's widely respected around college basketball as one of the brightest young defensive minds in the sport, known for relentless work ethic, strong recruiting ties, and the timing matters. And we've talked about this already. There's been reports, but USD leadership has reportedly begun building a $2 to $4 million NIL pool to support the program, which is a major investment designed to help the Toreros compete with top programs in the West Coast Conference. So the season may have ended, but the rebuild is just getting started. And here's the thing, just for context about how much money that can get you. San Diego State works with about $2.7 million for their roster. So if USD can be at that level of San Diego State in town, you're going to have some really good competition in basketball here in Southern California. And we haven't even talked about the Tritons yet. If you're UCSD, 2.7 for the Aztecs, maybe 3 to 4 million for USD. You're going to be in the same conference as USD. That's another team that's going to have to just up their money a little bit. But men's basketball in town, I think, as disappointing as this year has been for a lot of the schools, the future is very bright for all three of them moving forward. Let's talk about women's basketball. Tournament fight shows progress for the women's side. They also saw their season end in the West Coast Conference tournament on Friday, but they showed plenty of fight. They opened the tournament with a 62-6, win over St. Mary's, led by Kylie Ray and Haley Rhodes. Ray posted a 19-point, 10-rebound double-double, while Rhodes added 22 points to push the Toreros in the second round, but that's when the season ended.
Yeah, unfortunately, it ended the next day with a 62-51 loss to San Francisco. A lot of optimism, though. Freshman Olivia Owens finished last year averaging nearly 16 points per game over her final 11 games. That's showing the kind of development that could shape a program's future.
On to baseball. Tough weekend for Brock Ungrich's crew. They hit the road and ran through a tough opponent in the California Golden Bears. Toreros dropped the series opener 11-1. They fell twice in a Saturday doubleheader, 15-9, which they had a lead, and then 9-1. There were still some strong individual performances, though. Jaden Lobliner stayed red hot at the plate, going 3 for 3 in the opener, hitting .419 over his last 10 games. Meanwhile, Stanford transfer Gabe Springer delivered a breakout performance in the first game of the doubleheader. He went 4 for 4 with a homer, a double, and 3 runs scored.
Yeah, freshman Phoenix Brandt also added his first collegiate home run. The problem wasn't entirely offense. In fact, USD actually jumped out to 4-0 and 6-2 leads in one of the games before Cal erupted with big innings late. So the big takeaway for the baseball side is the bats are there, but the pitching depth will also need to stabilize before conference play continues, very much like what we just discussed with San Diego State.
On to softball, nearly pulled off one of the wildest comebacks of the year as softball nearly delivered that this weekend. They fell 11-10 to Princeton on over the weekend, but the story was the seventh inning. They were trailing 11-4, and the Toreros exploded for 6 runs in the final frame, finishing with a season-high 18 hits before ultimately falling 1 run short. Michelle Delgado led the way with a 4-for-5 performance, while Caitlin Wanaya drove in 3 runs, and Carly Ruiz added 3 hits. Even in the loss, that type of offensive output shows this lineup can be dangerous at times.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of seems to be once again.
Final segment, the Braden Surprenant Show on a Tuesday. Keep you updated on everything going on in baseball today in Peoria, Arizona. We got some updates on these bracketology with some conference tournaments going out. Stanford is lost in the ACC tournament. They were a first 4 team out, so you can basically cross them off the list in terms of making the NCAA tournament, which is good because these are teams that are now competing with San Diego State for an at-large bid. Again, take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to Aztecs at-large bid. They probably need to win the tournament anyway to make the NCAA tournament. We'll have that more for you at the end of the week when they have their first game on Thursday. Now, in Peoria, we got an update for you on the Padre game. Padres take a 2-0 lead in the top half of the first inning. They got a couple of singles to get things going. Freddie Fermin's been pretty hot this year, Frank. I mean, he's got a great start to spring training. He led off the inning with a knock. Nick Solak then hit a single, so he had runners on first and second for the Padres with nobody out. Jose Miranda struck out looking, and then a throwing error by Mitch Ferris, and part of this Ferris Bueller's Day Off matchup between Mitch Ferris and Walker Buehler. He tried to make a pickoff attempt. He commits an error. Pablo Reyes then singled to score both Solak and Fermin. It's a 2-0 lead for the Padres. Mason McCoy singled and then stole second, and then Samad Taylor struck out swinging to end the second. Then in the bottom of the second inning, Walker Buehler runs in a little bit of trouble, strikes out Logan O'Hoppe swinging in the first at bat. And again, he went knuckle curve, sweeper, sinker, changeup. Again, hasn't been using the fastball a lot today, or at least the 4-seam fastball today. Able to retire Logan O'Hoppe. Yammer Candelario then grounded out to Miguel Andujar. So 2 quick outs for Walker Buehler. Again, didn't throw a fastball, 4-seam fastball on that particular at bat. And then Chris Taylor, the former Dodger, against the former Dodger, rips a triple on a fastball, Frank. Guy throws the fastball for the first time. It comes in at 91.9. Taylor hits a triple on the fastball. And then Nick Madrigal singled for the Angels to drive in Taylor. That was a hit on a sweeper. Again, he's only thrown 1 4-seam in this inning. It's 2-1 now as they go to the top of the third. As after the Madrigal single, he actually got thrown out at second of the throw. So Walker Buehler is able to get out of the inning. So far today, he is gone 2 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, and a strikeout. Again, not bad, but I don't want to way too much into the non-fastball usage. We heard him say with Sam Levitt after the game last week that he can't be a guy that relies on his fastball a lot. We haven't seen a lot of fastballs in his pitch mix today. I find it to be very interesting for Walker Buehler in start number 2.
Yes, that just tells you that he's working on stuff. He's trying to figure out a way to mix pitches. He's trying to figure out a way to get the most out of what he has right now. So while low 90 velo is not great, I think that kind of lends more credence to maybe he's not throwing that pitch at 100%. He's working on trying to get break on other pitches.
Yeah, it's possible, or maybe they like a different mix, right? So we'll kind of see how this plays out here for the Padres as they have a 2-1 lead in the top of the third inning. Obviously, Gwen and Chris who are coming up next. We'll have a little bit more information on that as well. A lot of college basketball going on today. Also, it's kind of the first couple of days of the tournaments for a lot of the big conferences. Santa Clara and Gonzaga battling it out tonight in the WCC championship game. Santa Clara with an upset over St. Mary's almost, I think, solidifies the fact that they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. Let's take a look, Frank, real quick at the WBC again, as we look at where we're at in terms of the standings and what is coming up later on today. 4:00, Israel and the Netherlands playing basically for fun. This will be the final game, I think, for both teams, if I'm not mistaken.
For who?
The Netherlands and Israel.
Oh, I believe so. Yes.
Okay. So then you're gonna get Xander Bogaerts back in camp very shortly here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's going to be disappointed. I saw a report that Yu Darvish was in camp today.
Yes, I did see
was
that.
back
I
at
saw Annie posted
in
that.
Peoria today. So we'll see. We haven't got any news on that, by the way. I know he's been in Japan, so it's been different. He's been with Team Japan. Yu Darvish has, and kind of helping with the mentorship and everything like that. And I think he's doing some different. I forget what his official title was from Japan, but for the Japanese team. But he's been helping out them so far in the WBC, which is going to continue when they get to bracket play. But he's stopping off in Peoria before they move on. We haven't gotten a lot of clarity on that situation. That's just kind of gone silent. And again, I know he's been in Japan, but that's a very interesting storyline, because I don't know if that's factored into the money already, or if that's something that's going to free up more money later, at the trade deadline, because all the moves that the Padres usually make and that AJ Preller makes, he always wants to have ability to make trades at the deadline.
Yes, he does. So I'm not sure. Yu Darvish is a very, very interesting case. That whole thing has gone very, very cold as of late, as you mentioned. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what's going on with that.
I'm sure. I'm curious if they're meeting about that today or not. So with some of the games already, with the tickets already being punched, and today again is one of the last days. There's only going to be 3 games tomorrow in the WBC. Canada and Cuba means a lot in terms of who gets the number 2 spot in the pool. What is that? Pool C? I'm trying to keep up with all the pools here for the WBC. So that game's going to matter tomorrow. Italy and Mexico could potentially be for first, or could potentially be for second in the pool that the United States is in. So that game is very important. And the Dominican Republic of Venezuela is a game that's going to determine who gets the 1 and who gets the 2 in their respective pool. So with the games tonight, what's interesting here, Frank, is there's only 1 game left in pool play that doesn't mean anything. The way the schedule's been laid out, I mean, Canada, Puerto Rico, very important tonight for seeding. Puerto Rico is already advanced into the next round. Italy, United States, very important. If Team USA wins, they would solidify a spot into the next round. If not, they got to sweat out the Italy and Mexico game based on run differential. Tomorrow, Canada and Cuba. Winner of that game most likely is going to be, I think that game, regardless of what happens in Canada, Puerto Rico tonight, will be the deciding factor in who gets the new number 2 spot in that particular pool. Italy, Mexico could either be for the number 1 or the number 2, and then Dominican Republic, Venezuela game. Both teams have already clinched into the next round, but it's a matter of, are you going to be a 1 or are you going to be a 2? If you win that particular game, you play Korea, and if you lose that game, you play Japan. So that's kind of a lot of at stake right now with Pool D, because Pool D is matched up with Pool C, and the Dominican Republic Venezuela game is an impact on whether you play Korea or Japan. That's very significant in the game tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, for the U.S., you want to go out and win this game here tonight, but not necessarily the end of the world, because if Italy does beat Mexico, the U.S. has already beaten Mexico, so that would just mean Italy and the United States go through at that point. But yeah, it has been a very, very good tournament, and with how pool play has worked out, it's been very entertaining to watch from top to bottom in all 4 of the pools.
Yeah, I think it has for sure. I think it's been great action. It's been great. Watching a lot of the best players in the world battle it out, and they couldn't have drawn up the schedule better than what they had, because it's a lot of important games here down the stretch, and it's another important game tonight. Who are you rooting for tonight in Team USA Italy?
I'm sorry.
You rooting for Hofstra?
I'm going for the motherland. I'm sorry.
Guy's going against his own country. Are you a citizen of Italy?
Want to be.
You know you can apply for that.
I can, yes.
They've made it more difficult than Ireland has, though. They have. They've made have you looked at the rules?
No, I've not.
I've looked into it before. They make it so complicated that I think it just makes people go like, "Yeah, forget about it. I don't need it."
He draws the foul.
That was great. Come on.
I'm not letting you get away with that.
I can make fun of Italians. I'm Italian.
I'm not letting you
I
get
can
away
make
with
fun
that.
of our heritage. It's fun.
That's
great.
cool. Lovely.
Look, he's all upset now. You know what make you feel better is a Mona Lisa sandwich.
No, you know what would make me feel better is a day off on Wednesday.
Why a day off on Wednesday?
Because the media alert that I just got from Rick Schloss saying that Christopher Bell, Ty Dillon, and Ryan Priest will all be down at Naval Air Base Coronado on Wednesday, as well as visiting Rady's Children's Hospital on Wednesday as well.
That's cool. Back
Yes.
in town. You know what? I mean, you should. I don't. You are the NASCAR connoisseur at this point. I mean, you're the leading coverage of NASCAR here in town.
I am.
would say.
Yes. They will be at media arrival will be at noon. And yeah, so this is. I would like to go to that. I know I won't, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, you got to be at work, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go ask Adam at the end of the show.
No,
Hey, do you
I'm-
mind if I take the day off
No,
so I
I'm
can
not
go
gonna- I'm
hang
not
out
gonna-
with the NASCAR guys?
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that tomorrow.
You need to.
Jesse Iwuji is a very interesting story. He is he's also going to be there. He is a former Navy lieutenant commander. He is now a driver in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. It was interesting when the NASCAR game came out in October, the new NASCAR 25 video game. He is now in 2 different video games. He is in NASCAR 25, and he also was in one of like the early 2000s NCAA football games from EA Sports, because he was playing for Navy at the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he's gone from Navy football player to lieutenant commander in the Navy to now O'Reilly Auto Parts series driver.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. Then you don't have to request for a hotel when they come out here.
Ryan Fitzpatrick's also going to be here too for whatever reason.
Why?
I guess.
Why?
Well, he's an Amazon.
Oh, is it going to be on Amazon that race?
Yes,
right?
it is going to be on Amazon. He's an Amazon reporter, so I would assume that's the link.
That makes a lot of sense. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. This has been the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Officially the 1-year anniversary today of the brand new show.
Congratulations to you.
We've
yes.
made it. 1 year. Fun stuff. To many more. I don't know when your 1-year anniversary on the show is. We'll
May
celebrate
5th.
that on May 5th. Quinn and Chris coming up next.